Ladies and gentlemen, please take your seats. The show is about to begin.
Hey! Wow. This is fantastic. Where are we up to? 213 people that are on here. And actually, I don't think that's pulling in. That number isn't including the folk that are on LinkedIn either. So, this
38 on LinkedIn.
Another 38 on LinkedIn. Fantastic. So, so happy. Glad to have you all here. We've never done anything like this before, to be honest, have we? A 3-hour masterclass is what we're planning here. We are allowed a couple of breaks. I don't think I could last 3 hours.
Yeah.
But no, this is incredible. And just flick us open to that. Let's go back open. So Owen and I are set up in here. Yeah. If you don't know who we are, we'll tell you in a minute. But we've shifted the office around. Weirdly, we've actually shared. We've got a mirrored screen on both of our computers here, and a mouse in front of us that we've got to like coordinate because we're both moving the same mouse and keyboard. But I reckon this is going to be great.
Yeah.
This is, to be honest, this was a bit of a. Where's that gone? This is a bit of a last-minute decision, us putting this on. We were talking with Katie a few weeks back about Ecamm, about challenges and topics that people want, and we both kind of went, it's a constant thing that, I mean, we've run academies. We've had 1,500 people come through our Ecamm Live Academy, and definitely one of the biggest topics is, how do I do this and take it off into Zoom? So. We kind of teased you a bit with this whole mastering Zoom in a weekend. It really is how to master Ecamm into Zoom over the weekend, with the thinking that, we're going to show you what you can do in Ecamm, and you're going to take this over into Zoom, and people are going to be blown away by what you're doing on Zoom calls. Because, full disclosure, Owen and I are not Zoom experts.
Nope.
We are Ecamm experts, and we use Zoom, and when we show up on Zoom and people are going, how are you doing this? So this is really our heart, and this is where we're coming from. We want to just give you a bit of a secret weapon here with Ecamm, so that you can head over to your Zoom meetings from now on, and you're going to just blow people away with how professional you're looking. Cool. So Owen's mostly keeping his eye on the chat over here. I should just say right up front, what's this? Sorry. Have two systems open, one to what's this? Yes,
She's
fantastic.
Ready to learn.
Great idea.
Yeah.
You can kind of share this around. It's going to be a very practical session. Let's just, I'm just trying to think on here. So thank you as well for the questions. It was about 200, I think.
Yeah, about
responses to the question of what kind of pains and problems are you having with Zoom, and we wanted just to know that we're talking about the right stuff, really, and it's been really encouraging to look at that and go, I think we're on track. So we're not going to be able to bring up those 200 questions and run through them like this. We want to use questions from you that are here live. That's been very much a guide for us, and some of the things we can bring out and talk about. Paul beat me to it. Owen's got a little scrolling ticker along the bottom here. If when you're putting a question in, because it gets really busy in this chat in front of us to know whether you're replying to each other or just commenting along and agreeing. So if you can put that Q and a colon in front, it means that we can filter it out in the comments and we can just look at those questions. But hang on with them for now. Don't just kind of throw everything into us. If I explain the order and where we're going over the next 3 hours, we are actually having some dedicated question and answer time. We've broken this down into 3 sections, and then after each section, we're going to have like 15 minutes of Q&A. And then after the live today, we are carrying on, and hopefully you've picked up on this if you've registered, that we are going to be carrying on Zoom over the weekend. We've got 2 sessions to kind of hit time zones. I know we've got guys that are in Australia already that are on, so you'll be pleased to know that twice on Saturday and Sunday, we're going to show up in an evening time for you, so that makes it a bit more convenient. But of course, if people want to get up in the middle of the night, come join us. That's no problem at all. So we're going to carry on. Somebody's already put in the comments, it finds it a bit ironic that we're training on Zoom, but we're not on Zoom. Well, this is an easier platform for us to do the actual training bit on, and we wanted this to be public. So, and actually that also means please feel free to bring anybody in. You know, if you want to if you're on LinkedIn or YouTube, why not just tag somebody and go, hey, I'm on this training, it looks good, hopefully. Why don't you come over and join me? And people can watch this. And it'll be there, it'll be public afterwards. The reason that you've registered is that the Zoom calls, we need to get you in for that. So thank you, Owen. If you can head over, if you haven't already, there's a few of you that might have just come across and spotted this and haven't registered. Do head over to that link there, register with it, and we will send you emails out. The other thing we're doing, a lot of people have been asking, do we do replays? And this will instantly turn into a replay anyway. But all the Zoom calls and actually all the resources and things we're talking about as well on this call, we've put together a replay page, and you'll get an email with a reminder about that at the end of this. Okay. What else do we need to say in these intros, Owen? Yes, if you're not on Ecamm already, then we do have a link to, I would think most of you, anybody not on Ecamm already, would help us actually. Just say no in the chat, and then we can talk a little bit more about it. But if we know that you're already on Ecamm, then we'll kind of assume some stuff. But do head over there. It's a 14-day free trial of Ecamm. That's our affiliate link. If you're not already on Ecamm. And just to say as well, we are going to be, so while we're doing this here today, and then we've got these Zoom calls following up over the weekend, we are also kind of gate crashing over on the Ecamm community group as well. There will be things through this. The whole point of this is you're going to do some practicing. You're going to actually build out some stuff yourself. So if you head over to the Ecamm community group over the weekend, if you want to try some things out and let's see what you're doing, then please use a hashtag Zoom weekend over there in that group. Have we got a...
I don't have one for that one.
No,
we don't.
Oh no. Hashtag Zoom weekend. Maybe Paul or someone could just pop that in for us. If you want to go over there. Oh, you're throwing me out, Owen. But why did anybody say? There's a few people not on Ecamm. Fantastic. Well, welcome to the Ecamm fam. Honestly, we were just talking the other day with somebody else that's another kind of power Ecamm user. It was just saying, he's never known software that's got a community around it like the Ecamm one does. Thank you, Rachel. I hope today what you're going to see us doing here will really have you going, wow, I need to get on Ecamm. It is Mac only. I hope people get that. There isn't a PC version of it, but if you're on a Mac, then what is Ecamm Live? Ultimately and primarily, Ecamm is a live streaming tool, and the idea being that you've got this production suite here, if you like, software that allows you to live stream out to Facebook, out to YouTube, like we're doing now, out to LinkedIn, all these other platforms, and really to, the things you're seeing us just starting to use, putting frames and things on here, doing this kind of stuff. We're going to show you exactly what you can do in here. But what we've found is that this is like a secret weapon that everything that we can do here for live streaming, we can actually send over to Zoom as well. Yeah. And we're going to show you exactly how to do all of that over this time together. Owen, I haven't really introduced, for those that don't know us, I'm Adrian, and this is Owen, my son. How long have you been with us now, Owen?
Maybe about a year and a half.
Coming up 2 years, aren't you?
Yeah.
I think, yeah. Owen's been doing a fantastic job. He's on an apprenticeship with us, and it's quite funny, really, because we did this big live event recently with Greg Foote, with the James Webb Space Telescope getting launched. And we were kind of going, wow, isn't it amazing that an 18-year-old could do all this? And Owen ran the show and did all this stuff. I kind of go, actually, anyone that knows an 18-year-old knows that they find this stuff effortless and easy. So it's an absolute pleasure having Owen working with me, and he's already taken over the tech side of it. Yes, Glenda, he's absolutely the bomb. So yeah, you're going to find, I'm conscious I've done all the talking so far, and Owen is definitely taking sections of this as we work through it, and we'll be teaching. So yeah, are you actually sitting next to each other, says Paul. Yes, we are. This is the real space, but we kind of thought, so we've got 3 cameras set up here, and actually come the end of it, we will just have a little bit of a look around here and let you see what we're doing, but I felt this was a closer kind of view to be in. So again, please, if you're not used to, I'm loving the love coming through for Owen. If you're not used to Ecamm, then please just take note that everything we're doing here we could be doing this on a Zoom call. So there's nothing that's on the screen in front of us that we can't send over into Zoom. And this is what we're talking about, this being really like a secret weapon here. So I think, you will discover why we're using Ecamm. There isn't a tool like it that would allow you this kind of flexibility as easy as it is. So definitely check out Ecamm, because that's what we're going to be using. So we're going to jump in, and the idea is we've broken this up into 3 parts. Firstly, the first section is going to be all about Ecamm. Thank you, Owen. We're starting in Ecamm, and then we're going to move over into Zoom, and we're going to take everything that we've just created here over the next hour. We'll take it over into Zoom, and then we'll kind of follow in the third section with some next level kind of things, really, using a Stream Deck. Everything that we're doing now is Owen's got a Stream Deck in front of him, and I've got one here as well, which allows us to kind of punch buttons to trigger all the things that you're seeing happening. So I used to kind of look at this as a bit of a luxury and an add-on, but more and more we're going, no, this is a fantastic tool. So Owen's going to show us how he sets all that up. We're going to have a look at how we use an iPad with a teleprompter, and how we can use it actually to have in front of us and look through. So all of these cool things are coming up towards the end. I have to say, I did just say to Owen before we started, we've said this is going to be 3 hours. We might run out after 2 hours. I have no idea. It's very hard to actually put a time on this. We've gone, we can do this in 3 hours.
Although so far we've got a lot of questions. So I think if we run out of content, then we'll definitely have enough time in Q&A.
And if it goes the other way, we can't actually run on because Ecamm have got another live happening on the channel. But anything that's not being done, we've got 4 Zoom calls to follow up from this. So we'll make sure we're answering things over there or doing some extra skills. Right. I think we stop waffling. Yep. Because I can't shut Owen up once he starts. Right, so let's just very quickly show you. I'm going to pop into my live demo view over here. And so this is Ecamm. This is our control panel. And the first thing I want to... Why's that gone off? Sorry, my other monitor just disappeared on me. Let's have a look first of all before we get into the mechanics of where we're going. We've got scenes, overlays, camera effects, and all of these things that we're about to come to in a little while. I think before we do that, let's just take a little step back actually, and what about actually improving your video quality before we get going? Thank you, Owen. So it's easy for us to sit here, and yes, I will show you right at the end of this section, and maybe that's actually where the time comes in. We'll talk to you about our equipment, and this is really what we do. Our Pro Video Academy is our main training, our main event, and so this is what we do and teach. But everything we've got here, it's actually, although we've expanded today, it's not that different to what we would normally have in front of me. So this is largely built around a camera. I'm a big believer in using a camera rather than a webcam or the built-in camera that you've got in your laptop. But I don't want to start off by that and have people think, well, that's great because I haven't got that. So let's just talk more generally first about what you can be doing to improve it. And notice straight off, one of the things you see, and I think as we've kind of been through this whole lockdown season, and we've been watching news and things where people are logging in from home, and it shocks me really that people aren't being instructed better as to good angles and things. If your laptop's on your table in front of you and you're looking down at this camera, it's not a good view for someone to be looking up at you like this. What have you got behind you? Again, at that angle, you're potentially getting the ceiling and you're getting things on the wall behind you. I would encourage you straight off, regardless of what you've got, a webcam or a laptop with a camera built into it, or a camera like we've got here, one of the first things you can try to do is to get this looking straight on, eye level in front of you. I know, YouTubers and the likes maybe go for a lower angle or a higher angle and different things. What I think when we're doing a Zoom call like this is, and hopefully you can see this happening, feels like I'm literally sitting right in front of you. We're eye level, we're just the other side of that little coffee table together, and I think this feels really personal and really easy. So even if you're on a laptop and you're just using the FaceTime camera, you can put it up, pile it up on some books or boxes or something, but lift that thing up if possible. Potentially get yourself a little wireless keyboard so that your laptop could be up there, but you can still have it down here. That would be a massive improvement. And actually, if you are on a laptop and you're using that camera in there, just give it a little wipe as well. I'm tell Rachel off all the time with her phone just for having a smudge on the front of the camera. And little things like that will absolutely make a difference and help you. And a bit of basic lighting, really. It doesn't take a lot to improve your lighting. And I think when people are struggling with the lighting, it's not necessarily because of the lights you've got. More often than not, it's because of the camera that you're using. If you're using a phone or a webcam, it will automatically balance. So as you're putting more and more light in, it's just going to compensate and move it around a bit. It's way better to have something where you can manually lock down the lighting and control it. And but overhead light or light coming from behind you, it's not going to be flattering. If you're sitting under a ceiling light there, it's going to cast a shadow down on your eyes and over your face. So regardless of what you're doing, at its most basic, just getting some light coming from in front of you. If you're a glasses wearer and you struggle with that, push them off to the side slightly, lift them up a little bit. Will all make a big difference on getting you started with. That's kind of the most basic getting your camera going, really. Now, in terms of jumping into Ecamm then, and what can we be doing inside of Ecamm to help you out with your lighting? Let's jump into this live demo mode over here. And first of all, what I would suggest to you is, let me zoom in a bit. We're going to be able to, because I know what I should have said maybe up front is if you're watching, regardless of what you're watching on, if you're finding we're kind of in a little quarter of the screen because you're in YouTube or somewhere or LinkedIn, have a look maybe at putting it into the theater mode, that it will take the full width of it, because we're going to be demoing things on the screen here, and for you to be able to see it nice and close, it would be a good idea to punch it into that theater mode, and you'll just get us a bit bigger. I think it will just push the comments down below, or maybe you lose them. Is that right, Owen? Yep, cool. Right, so what can we be doing in here? Well, we're in Ecamm, and what I would say straight away is over in your options, just double check that you are in this 1080p size over here. Make sure you're not accidentally turned off, because this is all about the resolution. This is the quality, the amount of pixels you're getting in this image in front of you. You can tick on this high quality video mode if you're using a camera, and it will enable it. So they would be a couple of absolute minimums really to get those in. And then I want to come over here and show you, I don't know if you've discovered this camera effects. In fact, I'll tell you what I'll do. Let me zoom out from this and pull this over, because you're not going to be able to see me making changes and it happening on screen. So if I now come into, we've got this camera effects tab down here, and I can do green screen things. I'm not going to demo that now. And actually, let us know if green screen is something you'd like to know more about. Let's see how many people put green screen in the comments, and we could do this on one of the Zoom calls tomorrow and just show you. Green screen is allowing you to put a fake image or video clip in behind you, and in Ecamm it's way more powerful and more accurate than it is in Zoom. But I don't want to spend a lot of time going into that if it's not really a topic people are interested in. So we'll come back to that one. Zooming in. I've just spotted Paul saying something about zooming in. What you can do down here is, and Owen, please feel free to jump in if you think there's anything key that's going through in the questions. It would be good to jump onto. You can adjust this zoom setting down here. So what I can do down here is zoom this in. Let me just move up slightly. And I can actually reposition and move this frame around in here. And one of the things we're going to do in a little while is show you a scene, which will be one scene wide out like this and one scene that's zoomed in that we can cut between, and it gives a feel of having two cameras going here. So what I'm more interested in right now is if you're trying to, if your image quality isn't coming through great, we've actually got settings inside of Ecamm where I can be adjusting like this. If I feel it's coming through and I want a bit more of a tan, then I can warm it up. I can cool it down, tint, saturation, things that maybe you're used to seeing in editing programs, gamma, very advanced. You can apply LUTs and things. That's another level that we're not going into. Mirroring it, going black and white, all different things that we can do with the camera. So even if your camera quality isn't great coming in, it means we can make some of these settings in here and you can actually improve what you're doing. Anything we're missing on kind of basic camera improvements? So even if we're not doing fancy overlays and things like that, Ecamm will allow you to just level up like this. And one thing that I should point out, one of our cameras, this wide camera that we've got back here, is actually connected via USB. And it wouldn't work normally, but Ecamm has got software built into it that will recognize cameras that are plugged in via USB. So instead of needing a HDMI converter, a lot of these cameras, you might find you've got a Canon camera sitting around that actually you could plug this thing in, and Ecamm will allow you to bring this feed straight through, and instantly, a camera that's maybe been sat in the back of a cupboard somewhere could massively upgrade what you're doing on video. So that's a huge plus on its own. So I thought you looked like you were leaning into. Are we all right? Do we need to pause a bit for look at some of these, or?
Are you? I'm just thinking. Are you going to go into upgrading your zoom quality right now?
Zoom settings?
Yeah.
No.
Okay, great.
No, we're going to do that when we get over it. So what my thinking and my plan is really that we start here in Ecamm and we build everything out in Ecamm, and then we're going to shift it over to Zoom, and then we'll start there in the second section and really kind of go dialing in your Zoom settings. So don't panic that we've done nothing about Zoom yet. We are going to get to that later, but this is like getting your PowerPoint presentation sorted first. That's kind of how I look at Ecamm, really, that we're creating these scenes and it is like slides that you'd put together in a PowerPoint presentation. So section 1 is really going to be all over here in Ecamm. Okay, anything quickly in those questions, Owen, that would just steer us? Webcam blurs at times. Yeah, I would think that's more to do with your webcam It might be to do with the processing and the power of it as it's coming through. But yeah, it's I'm not really going to be able to help on that one, I'm afraid. Anything? What's Harry's down there? Sorry, Owen, we're both sharing a mouse, and it's can you share Zoom chats, comments to Ecamm? We'll come back to that one, Harry. Absolutely, and yes, you can. Right, okay, we'll come back to some of these after, actually, and see some specifics that we've got. Let me just, so I think we talk about audio, because again, these we haven't looked at Ecamm yet in terms of really getting into building things out in Ecamm. This is, to me, just leveling up video and audio before we do anything else. So let's just have a look. If we're talking about audio quality, so improving your audio quality, the first thing to do if you're on a laptop at the minute or a built-in computer would be to get an external microphone. And depending on what your setup is, I would think a USB microphone is probably going to be your best option to move forward. The Blue Yeti is a massively popular microphone for doing calls and things like these. You can actually, a lot of webcams have got the microphones built into them, but improving that and taking that up a step would be definitely well worth doing. We are currently, well, at the minute, we're going through an XLR system, and that is kind of another level up. And we don't normally do this, in fairness. It's just this challenge of two microphones sitting next to each other. This was the only way we could find that we could do it. But normally we're using this Shure MB7 microphone, which is a fantastic mic. It's USB, and it really kind of ticks. For me, I don't like to have a microphone in view, and it allows me to do this. But at the same time, if I did want to have it up here and do that kind of podcasting style, I can do that again. It's a hugely popular microphone, a great bit of kit. Again, when we come to the end, I will talk to you. I've got an equipment list that's available to you. In fact, I think I sent it out to you yesterday, those of you that registered. But it could be something like this. It could be like a Yeti mic, really getting that a better quality sitting right in front of you is quite key. If we're trying to create this experience of, we're actually in the room together, then yes, visually we want to have a good clear image, but the same with the audio. We don't want to hear bad audio. And more than anything, that's it. It's not necessarily the quality and the level we're going to with that audio. It's more, we don't want it to be bad. And along with that goes, dogs barking and people talking in the background and things like that. Again, just prepping that out if possible and trying to really dial in and get this audio as good as possible. Now, what we can do is, actually in Ecamm is notice I've got in front of me down here these sound levels. And these are super important. And the amount of times I've been on a support call and I'm talking to somebody and we're setting things up around Ecamm, and I'm looking down there at the corner of their screen and this sound level bar is way over into the red, or it's right down the bottom and it's not coming through. This is one of the most important things you'll have on your screen, is to just keep an eye on this. As you're seeing on here, we're typically in the green, we're just touching up into the yellow, and that would be really a kind of sweet spot for where you want to be on this. The other great thing about this is if I can see that green line's not moving, then it means no audio is coming through. So it's a really good warning thing for me to have right in front of me. Don't panic about those little signs we got down here. They're warning us that we haven't got echo cancellation on, and potentially we might get some echo come back through with these sound effects. Echo cancellation is fantastic, and if for interviewing and things, it will stop this sound going back round and being heard in your microphone. We do find it slightly processes your voice, and so for the cleanest sound, we kind of turn it off. And if we were doing interviews, we'd rather wear headphones. but it is a great feature to have there. And for a lot of you, most people wouldn't even pick up on that. But I'm kind of listening, dialing this in a bit and going, oh, I can just tell that something's been processed there. And it can sound nicer for not having it turned on. The other thing to do is, as we've got these sound levels here, if Owen could punch us up a little sound effect. Notice that you can see that coming up on the screen down here as well. And again, this is another major thing that I see people doing, or I can be watching a live and all of a sudden they decide to play a sound effect or a bit of music and, it's too loud. It's really kind of, you can set all this up and you can practice all of this in advance. And this is exactly the kind of stuff you need to be doing. Do the sound effects sound about right? They don't want to be as loud as you. They want to sit down there quietly. The same with music that you're playing. The same with video clips that potentially you're bringing on, especially interviews. You don't want the audio kind of jumping up and down and your poor guests are going, oh, and you don't want to see in the comments when people are going, your guest's really quiet, or your mic seems a bit too loud, and it's going to throw you out as well. So the key to this, and the key to most of what we're talking about, is about preparation and being prepped in advance. So there we go. There's a few things on that in terms of sound levels and things. Now we should just cover, and maybe Owen can come on with me a bit, laptop fan noise. This is a classic, isn't it, that people struggle with?
Yeah.
So if we're on a MacBook Pro, and we did this for a long time with this one here, you'll find that when you've got Ecamm open, especially if you've got Zoom as well open, the poor computer's just struggling away, isn't it? Its processor is being maxed out. All these things are running, and all it can do is kick this fan in to try and stop it overheating. And it does become an issue. We've tried lots of things actually in the past trying to deal with this. I've even had cushions and things sitting piled up around trying to put a bit of space between me and my laptop. Honestly, the first thing I'm going to say is, if possible, if you're in a position to do so, I definitely recommend looking at a Mac Mini. We're running this at the minute. Everything that we're doing here with our different cameras coming through, multiple monitors, is all running off a little £699 Mac Mini. I think we went for the basic model.
Yep. And the new M1 laptops are also, they're not as bad as they used to be as well.
Yeah.
So
I think they're silent, aren't they? I don't think they've got fans built into them either. But if you're not in a position to be upgrading, I mean, that is the ultimate, and we can, everything else I'm just going to mention now. Already, Laura's already got one on the wish list. If it's not something that's you're able to do, let's just run through a few tips here. I would be saying, and again, I get a look behind the scenes sometimes. I get on with someone and we're on a call together and they share their screen, and I'm kind of sneakily going, oh wow, they've pretty much got every app open at the bottom of their screen down there. Definitely shut those down, because every app that is open on your computer, you have a look now actually.
Yep. But how do we know what apps are open? Is there any indication?
Yes, it's very good, Owen. You've got little, if you look across your, thank you Owen, sharing the screen, you've got little dots down here and anything that's open, and notice, hopefully actually we're doing what we're saying, we've got nothing open that doesn't need to be. Chrome, Ecamm, don't accidentally hit that button. Everything else is turned off.
Yep.
That's a huge one. And especially turn off notifications coming through on the doorbell.
It was planned.
It's a sound effect, yeah. Rose, what's that say? Tell your wife. This is getting a new Mac Mini. Yes. And also then in Chrome, it amazes me that people can have like 20 or more tabs that are open and running. And all of those things are potentially taking up processor juice, aren't they? While it's working over there and refreshing pages, stuff's going on. Shut all that down. If you are on a MacBook Pro, something I realized is you're actually illuminating that keyboard. You can adjust the light underneath it, and I can feel heat on those keys. Well, if I can dim down the brightness on the keys, I don't really need to have any lights underneath it. That's another way of cooling it down.
And your screen as well.
Yes.
If just turning down that monitor brightness can also be a big difference in the heat of it.
Totally. You can take that down to like 30% or so, and you can still see it fine, but it's just it's keeping it cooler and it's not running as hard.
Yeah.
What else can we do? There is an app called Max Fan Control.
Yeah.
Treat it with care. You can actually control the fans inside of that MacBook Pro. This is where everyone's going to start screaming at me now. I am putting a big warning on this because you can go, oh, amazing, I can turn that fan off. But you got to think, why is that fan running in the first place? It's not doing it for the fun of it. It's doing it because it's trying to stop your computer from crashing. Yeah. And I would really be careful with turning that. When I used to do it on a live, I found it fantastic, really, for taking that down. But I would never go lower than about 30% fan, just to take it down for the half an hour while I was doing a live, and then I turn it back off and let it go back up again if it needs to clear some air.
Yep.
Another thing we've done is to lift up, actually. You can get one of these frames, one of these little stands for your Mac, to just lift it off the desk, because it wants to be able to clear air out. It wants to have some cool air coming around it. I actually bought a little table thing that had got a fan built into it, just a little for sitting on your lap with, rather than it sitting on your lap or on a cushion. And it was constantly blowing cold air underneath it very quietly. So there are little tips and tricks. Feel free, guys, if you know any of the tips and tricks like this, pop them in.
An external monitor.
Yes.
If you can... Oh, I've knocked that. If you can... Most microphones are, if you've got them above you, it's pointing this way. They're kind of around you. But if you can have an external monitor and then move your actual laptop where the fan's coming from to the side, or just out of where they're picking up audio from, that'll also mean that you're not hearing that as much.
Absolutely. That's a great point. You can push that off to the side, pile up some cushions in between. That's what I used to do, was push that off to the side, put some cushions in between me and it. And actually your microphone as well, if you can try to put the laptop to the back of the microphone, so it's the last place it's hearing sound from, all of this will help. Now you might be thinking, hang on a minute, why ever are we talking about laptops and fan noise and things like this? Because this is all part of you leveling up when you're doing your Zoom meetings. I was just on this week to somebody on a Zoom call, and I could just hear this noise and it was irritating. And I'm like, I know exactly what that is. Yep. It's your laptop fan going. So all of this, you can have fancy overlays and things like this, but if actually your audio or just these are just the basics, the fundamentals, getting a good clean image coming through, sitting at a good position, some reasonable lighting, getting a good clean sound coming through without buzzing and stuff like this can make a massive difference. So we really kind of want to lay this as the foundation before we get into Ecamm or Zoom. Tim, great point. Eliminating background noise with Crisp. If you saw our... we are huge fans of Crisp.
Yep.
If you saw us doing that interview or doing that live stream with the satellite launch, we turned up to this event with all our kit, everything ready to go, and Owen said it was like having a fire alarm just kind of throbbing away, this noise in the background. I could have walked away, but we've heard about this Crisp app, KRISP. We've actually got links to everything that we're talking about on the resources on the replay page, so don't panic too much. And that email will come out to you before the end of this live. So what we're talking about with Crisp is it's a bit of software that we can apply and turn on, and it will just remove. It's an echo cancellation. It's a noise filtering. We were blown away at how powerful it was. We've got this horrible noise going on. We applied this app, and it totally took it out. So that is definitely an option and a great tool. But again, I can tell when something's been processed like that, and it isn't. It's a little bit robotic. Yeah, so it is there, handled with care, but you can do a trial of it, can't you, Chris?
Yep.
Was this the one that made a funny noise?
No, that's look back.
Okay.
This you have. I want to say it's 100
minutes or something.
I want to say it's about 140 minutes a month, and then once you've hit the end of that, it just turns off.
Right.
And you can't turn it back on.
So you can absolutely take a trial of it and see if this is an issue and this is something you're struggling with. Then yeah, absolutely, that could be something for you. Now, the last thing on audio before we get into kind of planning this out and getting rolling up our sleeves and getting into Ecamm would be audio delay. And so we are running cameras that are coming in over HDMI and typically a microphone that's coming in over USB. Well, actually, this is coming in over USB. And this, again, is something that comes up a lot. It seems out of sync. It's like a dubbed movie. This is something that we can do and fix inside of Ecamm. Without me going into a huge detail on this, I think we've got a video on our... I should just say, actually, that we've got a huge playlist on our YouTube channel full of all these tutorials about Ecamm. Do be sure to head over to that afterwards. But if I come into Ecamm and I come into my preferences and I come under my audio, there is this setting down here that says mic delay. And very cleverly what it will do is, because typically what's happening that the audio sound is getting to your computer before that camera feed's getting in. And we're only talking, when we're talking here about frames, we're broadcasting this at the minute at 25 frames per second. So when we're talking about 2 frames, that's 2/25ths of a second. But it's enough to make a difference. And certainly when we're talking about Zoom, I found this was totally fine in Ecamm. I can fix it in Ecamm and I can apply this mic delay. But one of the issues that I had with using Zoom was that I couldn't take the audio from Ecamm over to Zoom, and I couldn't fix it in the same way that I can when I'm live streaming like we're doing now. But just 2 weeks ago, it must be now, Ecamm in their beta version introduced virtual mic, and that allows us to not only, as you're going to see it later, send the video feed across to Zoom, but actually we can send our audio feed out as well, which means if I've fixed a mic delay over here in Ecamm, now when I go over to Zoom, I can take that same correction and the work I've done in it over here in Ecamm, I can send that over as well. And not only that, it also means that any sound effects, any video clips, any music that I'm playing here in this Ecamm presentation, I can send it all over to Zoom when we get over to there. So that's fantastically. So yeah, Debbie, really good point. Usually you discover the Zoom on the replay. So what's the answer to that, Owen?
Record it.
As in...
Yeah, so like we did just before going live, we go into record only and have that mic delay bit up and just kind of go across saying, this is me at mic delay 0, knock it over to 1, this is me at mic delay 1, and so on and so forth. And then we can watch back the replay and be like, is that in line? Yeah, that's good, kind of things like that. Yeah, absolutely. Thank you. Sorry to put you on the spot. I'm liking this double show like this, actually. I kind of, we're like news readers. I said to Owen just as the countdown was going, I need like a little wad of paper in front of me to shuffle. That actually is a really good point of practicing before you go live. I think there's no excuses for not having this. And sorry, Debbie, I'm not I'm not picking on you. I just think in general. I'm talking here about these sound levels and things in front of you and making sure that the last thing you want to do is be watching that replay back and going, oh, that sound level didn't hardly come in, or that video was really loud.
there's no reason that one of the big things we're doing here in Ecamm is creating all this in advance. We're prepping it all out before we go. As Owen says, we can just click record only before we stream this out or do anything with it and run through it. Okay, let's just try a sound effect. Let's try bringing a video file on. Are we sure that both of our mics sound about the same? Press stop, play it back. Yep, we're good. Or we fix it. So a big takeaway there is to practice and plan all this stuff out so that it doesn't scare you. And yeah, you're not going to be doing like Debbie's worrying about there, that it's going to catch you afterwards. So thank you, Steve. Yeah, it's great to work together. Love it. Put a carpet down. Yep. That's a really good point as well. Let's just jump on this one. Flat surfaces are a big problem. And if we had a customer who was in like a newly equipped dance studio, big white plain walls, hard floor down, nothing in there at all, and they're going, oh, this is awful, the sound. You definitely got to do some sound kind of treatment. And yes, carpets, thicker the better, will catch sound. Soft furnishings, if you've for those that may be going, oh, I've only got a spare bedroom to be working in, actually that's a perfect space, because you will notice as you walk around your house even that maybe the kitchen is more echoey than it is in your lounge with thick curtains and stuff like that. So do try to add things in. You know, can you put some heavy curtains in? We actually put some acoustic panels on the ceiling. We made them ourselves. We found them on a YouTube video. They're just like insulation blocks that you can get, and we built like a frame around it and hung some canvas over the front. Incredible. It just took all that reverb and echoing in the room out. So yeah, cool. This is good. Even cheap quilted, yeah, absolutely. Moving blankets are really good at those kind of things that you can get. It just depends where you're setting up, and I don't want to get complaints from partners going, he's just started throwing these blankets around all over the dining room while we're doing some filming. One of the reasons I went for the ceiling in here was I thought, you know, I don't want to be looking at a wall of foam tiles or things like this. I want this to look like a nice office to work in when we're not streaming. So putting them on the ceilings, I just thought seemed an obvious choice. It's a dead space. Yeah. So again, if you got ideas on this, and these sort of things would be great to be throwing into that Ecamm community group. What do we say we're doing? Hashtag Zoom weekend. If you want to post anything in there over the weekend, there it is. You can jump into the Ecamm community Facebook group and that Zoom weekend. Why don't you, if you want to throw some comments and feedback, some ideas, some tips that will help out in what we're talking about, that would be fantastic. Owen, we're definitely not going to run out of time. We're like 50 minutes in, and we haven't even really got into Ecamm yet.
Yeah, not having enough time might be more of an issue than having too much.
I said to Owen, I've got to be really careful not to kind of race through this, because I feel like, you know, full on and charging through, and I want this to be usable for you. Remember, obviously you can come back to this, and you know, if you kind of go, right, well, this is something I want to come back to, and it's 53 minutes in, scribble a note down, and this will be instantly available to come back through. So I think what's important to just consider before we get into, so that's the foundations of just improving the quality of your video and your audio. And now this is what you can take over into Zoom. So without anything fancy, bells and whistles, just getting a standard that will already make you stand out over on Zoom. I think we should just talk about planning our meeting first of all. So before we start rushing in and building anything out, let's just plan through this. When I'm saying that, I'm thinking, what is it that we're getting ready for? Is it a Zoom meeting? Is it a presentation? Are you? I mean, for some of you, you might just be showing up as a guest, and you want people to go, oh wow, you look really good over there. I can remember turning up, and she's possibly in here actually, so I won't shout her out. I can remember being a speaker on a Zoom call, and there were 4 of us that were on there, and they were kind of cutting between us. And I got this private message in the Zoom chat of somebody, one of the other speakers, who said, you've got to show me how you're doing that with your camera and stuff, because I thought I looked good on camera, but you look way better than me, and I don't like it. And I think, wherever you show up on Zoom, for people to just spot you, it actually kind of puts you up there as a professional, and people think, oh wow, they're serious. They look like they're in a studio or something over there. So is it just, firstly, are you just trying to level up on this? Do you want to have maybe your name and your title appear at the bottom of the screen? We just realized about 30 seconds out that we didn't actually do that, and we haven't got that, but we're going to show you how if you want that. Maybe you want bullet points to come in on the screen next to you, and nice little transitions to go between different things, maybe some countdown music. We're going to put some stuff up in, when we go to a break, we're going to put a scene up that will mute our microphones. It'll play some music. It'll have a little countdown timer for 5 minutes. And those kind of things you could add into your Zoom meeting, and people will be like, wow, how are they doing this? A lot of you, I know from the questions that came through, want to be able to do like PowerPoint keynote presentations. We're going to show you that. Are you wanting to share your screen? Bringing on guests is a funny one. We're going to have to talk a little bit in more detail, and possibly not on this call about that one. Maybe multiple camera angles. Maybe you're trying to, it's a practical thing that you want to be able to show your desk or different angles. So all of these things, what is it you're trying to start with really? And I encourage you to, what I want you to do is to, not just watch what we're doing today, but to be taking some notes. And the whole point of this weekend is that you're going to apply what you're learning today and jump onto one or more of these Zoom calls over the weekend, having put into practice what you've done. And then we're going to have some of you come on and actually show us what you've created in Ecamm and how you're showing up on your presentations. Don't worry, you're not going to have to. We're not going to pick on you if you don't want to do that. But so before I would go making scenes with comments and overlays and stuff like that, do I actually need it? Lay the bits out. Okay, I know I need to do a presentation. It would be really nice. I'm going to send people off into breakout rooms. Maybe I want to have a pause halfway through and I need to ask a question. So it'd be nice to play a bit of music while they're sitting having a think and writing that down. Make a bit of a list as to what you're thinking. We're going to run through now and have a go at doing some or most of those. And I just think that's important to get right. And also to say, this is a little bit of a bugbear of mine. Kind of know your audience, because it's tempting to watch somebody else. And maybe you're watching someone who's a YouTuber, they're a streamer, and they've got a style. Maybe they're sitting with big headphones and a big microphone in front of them, and they've got flashing neon lights going on behind. Well, if you're kind of in a corporate space and you're talking to a professional audience, you don't need to do that. All right. So I'm a big believer in sort of going, all right, who am I talking to? Where are they going to be sitting right now? What are they expecting me to show up like? And when we start getting into frames and things like this, and you've got like this flying space scene going on behind, or, because you found some really cool videos that can go behind you, is it appropriate is all I would say. All right. If it is and it's fun, then great. But know your audience, I think is really important, just to say up front here. Right. I think the first thing we do is to build out a profile. In fact, Owen, do you want to drive a bit and give me a breather? Yeah. Do you want to show us what we're talking about? What is a profile and how can we do this?
Yeah. So first of all, profiles, they're really a collection of scenes in Ecamm. So each of these bits up here is a scene that we've set, but a profile, you can kind of see at the top, we've got Master Zoom at a Weekend, which is this live. And so we wanted really to have that so we can, I guess, have all the scenes and things that we want in this place, and then say if next week we want to do a different live, we can just switch over the profile and go into there. So really, that's kind of what we're wanting to do with that. And so to make them, we can come up right to the top here, come into profile, and we can't make a new one while live. We can come into...
You can see we've got a load there.
Yeah, so you can see how many we've got. So, like for example, the James Webb Telescope that we were saying we did, we've got that here. And we've got all these kind of different ones that we've done, but you can just make a new one. You can even export them so that you can put them on a separate computer. Maybe you've got a virtual assistant that can really build these out. And then you can always come back and import them back in here.
You actually were doing this, weren't you, with that James Webb? So Owen was able to build scenes away on a laptop and then import it in, and it's there all in front of you then.
I've just realised my microphone was not on.
No. How have you not? Oh dear. Go on. Okay. All right. Sorry about that.
Yeah.
So yeah, whereas before we used to just put things into folders, the profiles is just the next step on, really, isn't it? And like if you didn't hear Owen saying much, to be able to outsource this even, or have somebody else create profiles for you, I'm sure people are going to start popping up now offering profiles that you can download and fill in for yourself.
Yeah.
But it really is just a great way, instead of getting really messed out in there with those scenes, you can just go, right, this is a new job. We're going to be starting our Ecamm Live Academy at the end of the month. We've got a profile, and it not only carries the branding and that here, but like our overlays, when we're bringing on comments and things, we can change the colors around. And all we've got to do is jump to another profile, and that carries a completely different style to it.
Yeah.
You're laughing at people picking on you over there.
Oh, no. Not...
Do it again, says Chris. Oh, is it that bad?
There are quite a few people saying to repeat it, to be honest.
Go on then, quickly go back, Owen.
Okay, let's see if we can do this at twice the speed. Profiles, they're up here, which you hopefully could see before anyway, even if you couldn't hear. And they're like how we used to have folders of scenes, and we used to really build out these folders. Say, for example, the Ecamm Live Academy would have its own folder, and then all these different all the different things that you're using Ecamm for, they're all different they were all different folders, but now we can have different profiles, which automatically also changes like the comments that come in, the branding of them, so we don't need to change them every time and then go, oh no, we forgot to do this. And yeah, it really just is like a big folder of scenes, branding, overlays, things like that, that you can use in your live.
That wasn't on. We were screen capturing that.
Yeah.
Didn't see the red line around it.
It was.
Was it? Okay,
yeah.
Good. Great. So we can't actually show you because we can't now create a profile while Ecamm is open, unfortunately. You might have seen that was grayed out. But the first thing you will do, and actually the first thing you need to do is, if you haven't opened Ecamm for a while, make sure that you're definitely up to date on it. You can click over there under Ecamm Live and look for updates. Make sure you are on 3.9. It would have been. We're 3.10 now. So yeah, do make sure that's up to date and click over, start a new profile, and maybe call it, Zoom presentation, something like that. So that's the first little bit that we're going to do. Then scenes. So we've kind of hinted at it.
Yep.
Scenes are, I like to say, it's a bit like preparing a PowerPoint presentation, and it's like creating different slides in a PowerPoint presentation. Your scenes are those individual slides that you're creating. So very quickly we can just show you. In fact, I haven't. Owen's built all this out. Maybe Owen should be talking you through this one. What have we got up here, Owen? We've already got some scenes in place. In fact, you can show us on here. Look, so this at the minute is on me as Adrian. We've got another scene that is Owen that cuts to his camera. We've got another one that says both.
Yeah.
Our intro, that little music and the video that played was up there. So these are, you can see that we're creating in here. If this were a PowerPoint presentation, you'd have those slides down the side. This is what's going on. I don't know, have we even used the comments one yet?
We've not.
So we've got a comments window over here where we can bring these in, and all of this is completely customizable. We start from scratch. We're going to do it in a few minutes and build all this out. A screen share we can run. That's going to kind of go a bit crazy because we're already in this. Back to our wide camera. So these are scenes that we're creating, and there's an iPad one as well down here that we're going to show you. So yeah, what I think, in fact, let's come back. So we can't create a brand new scene for you, but we can actually create a new folder. So let's create a new folder down here, and we'll call it demo. And we're in this live demo mode at the minute, and you can see that you're watching our screen. So I can, inside of here, create a new scene, and it will say to me, do I want this to be a camera? And if so, I can then select which camera I want, and then I can save this. So let's do what I think we'll do. I'm going to focus, we'll do it around this rather than split screens and two people, because that's not typically going to be what you're doing. So if I think this is like my main shot that I want. So if I just put, or we could call it exactly that, main camera. Okay, that scene is now set. What I'm thinking might be a nice scene to create afterwards is I'm going to do that same one again, but I want to zoom in a bit. I want to crop in a little bit. So rather than me creating another new scene, this next button across is a clone one. I can duplicate the current one. The other way we can do it actually is to hold the Option key and drag it down from there, and it will again, except that's now just gone. No, it hasn't. Right, so now we've just copied that down and done another one.
And you can also do Command C and Command V to copy and paste it.
Yep, good stuff. So now in this one, remember that we've got this camera effect down here, and on this second one, let's decide that we're going to zoom in a little bit like this, and maybe this is one where I want to be able to put some bullet points down here at the side of me. So I've now created this, and look what happens. I can go back to main camera, and that's this one, and now I can come across to this one, and we need to say zoomed in, or whatever you want. The idea is you're just labeling these up to be, I tell you what I'm going to do is just to pull this down to the bottom, because I feel like it feels like it's right in the middle of, so ignore what's above it. We're down here in this demo. So I've now got front camera down here. We've now got a zoomed in one over here, and we're going to put some bullet points on this one in a little while. I'm going to come back to this one first of all. Let's show you a different way of coming at this. If I start with a blank scene, when you switch out cameras and ports, does scenes get messed up? Yes, Brian, that's a really good point actually. If I go unplugging cameras and things in between doing this, where it's seeing on here, this is like Camlink 1 or Camlink 2, like it's naming them up here, those numbers are going to get moved around. So ideally, plug your camera in before you open up Ecamm, and it should find it and stay on. Yep.
Dina's. So quickly, Dina's just said she's created her first profile and now all her scenes are gone.
Yep.
Well, this is going to happen if you started a new blank profile, but if you come up into your profiles tab, it should have, normally it's your default profile until you've made your first one. So they should all be sat in there.
But, so what can you do then, Owen? Duplicate.
Yes. So if you want to bring over, say for example, when profiles first became a thing, we had all of these scenes and everything we'd made, but we wanted them to be in different profiles. So we duplicated the profiles and deleted everything out we didn't need,
Yeah.
duplicated it again, and did that for all of the different ones.
Yeah, so that's definitely, it's a great point. Thanks for bringing that up. And this is great, actually. This is working well, Owen. If you can keep your eye on that and just jump in, because I can't see that going on over there as well as doing this. That's a really good point. Yeah, and that's what we would do. Duplicate it, get out the bits you don't want, rather than rare that I would start from scratch, apart from doing something like this as a demo, really. Thank you. Well done. So main camera, zoomed in camera. Hang on, what's going on? No, it isn't. Sorry, we did a new scene there in between. So we got our zoomed in one down here. What I think we could do on this one is we're going to start off with a blank source. So right in front of me there is a blank screen. Now we've actually got down here in our background. So when you select source and blank scene, you're going to get just a black screen like this in front of you. We've actually got a little, it's just a little blue PNG file that we've dropped into here, and then it sees that as the background. This is, you can see our desktop's the same color. This is our branding, really. And now what we can do, and we're going to talk in a second, well, we're doing it here really, overlays. What I can do is bring in a camera overlay. So notice the scene that we showed you earlier at the top when Owen and I are both on camera here. Notice that this is how we've done it. We started off with this blank background. I'm going to call this one framed. Whoop. And what we're going to do is build this out, and maybe it's just me. And here's a little trick here as well, actually. You can go up to Command and tilde, I believe it's called, the little icon that you've got just above Control on here. And or it does tell you up here as well, doesn't it? Options about window. Hide main window controls. That's the little symbol I'm on about. So notice that when I click this, I can get rid of all of these little overlays and things here on the screen if I want to do some design bits. So I've now brought in my camera. I can click on here, and I can adjust if I want to have rounded edges. This is a pretty new feature. Some of you might not have seen this. I can put a border around it if I want, or not at all. I can choose which camera we're working on. I can select wide, or what I tend to do is this custom one. And what this means is I can put this up here, and I can basically shape this to wherever I want. So if I decide I want my window, and look at these nice little grids on there showing me, maybe I decide I want this big frame around me, and even if I took that blue off, you know, that's pretty cool. I can stick this up here. I can just align this by, you know, a fairly even border around me. And all of a sudden, I've now put a frame around me. In fact, somebody commented on this the other day on the live that we did and just said, oh, I'm liking the way you've done that. It does kind of snap there. You need to and you can actually use your keyboard and just move things up and down slightly. I've caught that. It's not you as well, is it? No, I didn't know whether it is. So I can do that, and I can set that up, and quite simply now, rather than this camera view, and if I come out of this live demo mode, rather than this camera view, I've now just put a frame around myself. And in the same way that we've put that blue behind us, you could put any color back there. I just think that can be a really nice feature. And certainly, I'll tell you what we're going to do. Let's jump back in. I mean, just shout if there's something there to jump on. Maybe we want now to come from this. So we've just cloned this. That's the framed one. And now maybe we want framed, and we want to bring in those comments. Now, actually, no, we'll hang on with this one because I need to have Zoom open, and we'll bring that open in just a minute. Maybe I want to do a screen share. Let's put me up there for a minute, and I can come back to my overlays, and I can choose a screen share. And instead of my entire window, I need to have Chrome open, don't I? We'll go with this. No. Let's pop Chrome open. These were my notes that we've got over there. let's hang on, I'm getting in a pickle over here. Let's open Chrome up a minute. It's because I'm zoomed in on my window and I wondered where it had gone to. We could do this. If I were to do, let's backtrack a second. Let's create a new scene over here. And if I were to just work on this scene and normally do a screen share overlay, I'm going to get something like this appear on my screen. And I can kind of move things around. This is my notes over here, don't worry. I don't think there's anything personal on there that you're going to see. So this would be typically, this is my whole desktop, including this. Now, if I decide I want to click on Chrome, then I can either say zoom to window like this, or I can, if I bring it away from the edge of there, I can now move this around on my screen and zoomed in around on, and this is pretty good anyway. Yeah, thank you. So I can move this around. I can set this all up over here. Now what I'm doing in this framed one is I can say, right, I want to pull up my Chrome window. And what I'd really like to do is, let's do this custom thing again. And actually, look, I can now be sharing this window over here. We're going to get onto like PowerPoint and stuff in a minute, but I could be sharing this and having me sitting alongside of it. And all of a sudden, we are starting to create a more professional looking presentation over here. If I don't want to have a border, or I can make that background disappear altogether, I can do things like this. Can you see how powerful this is getting? I can actually, if I want to, again, let's come into live demo. Forgive me just cutting in and out like this, but I can actually crop these bits out if I want to. And so now even more powerfully, we're starting to create this thing. Now, our goal here is this is all going to be going over to Zoom. And I can say, bring this one to the front because I want this picture-in-picture to sit there. But can you see how all of a sudden now we're putting this up. This is now going to be our Zoom presentation. You're suddenly going to show up with potentially this image here or this one here, and you're talking away and you're just speaking to people in Zoom. You're then going to spotlight the thing and kind of go, right, I'm just going to run you through now actually, and let's just talk you through this document that we've got open in front of us. Or is that cool? So there's a couple of things there in terms of these scenes and building this out. Zoom comments we can bring in. I'm going to show you that. I think what would be better would be just to jump on quickly to a keynote presentation. If I'm going to minimize that Chrome window a minute. I'm trying to keep... oh, brilliant. Thank you, Owen. Let's just... What have we got here? A little demo presentation. So if I were to open up down here, Keynote, in fact, this has by default gone into, where's it gone? I'm trying to see. This has got, it is playing for me and I don't want it to. Help me out, Owen. Where have we gone? There we go. Thank you. So this is typically I've just put together here this little demo presentation, and the reason I've pushed it off to the side, to one side really in this slideshow, is I'm thinking that I want to sit myself over on that side there, and so I can design my slides out to be like this. Now if I wanted to, I could actually just, from having Keynote open here, I could just literally drag that slide onto here, and it's now going to be my main window. And again, if I wanted to, I could bring my camera up over the front here, and maybe this time what we're going to do is go into a circle, and we could again put a nice little frame around it. And this is me now, again, a different way of doing, I'll come out a live demo. How about this as a presentation? So again, you're just impressing your friends, and you've come from this nice framed one here. Right, now I'm going to get into this presentation, guys, and you're just clicking a button and you're coming over, and this would be one way of doing that presentation. Now, what I've done there is very easily to just pick on one of these files and bring it in as an image. I'm going to minimize that one a second. What I could actually do, in its basic form, we can actually share this screen and crop into it. Where I got in a pickle there earlier, I'm using that funny phrase again, Owen. Owen just said to me the other day, where did that come from, in a pickle? Tell me in the comments if you know. There is an option down here. When we play, it used to be that to play a slideshow, it would go into full screen, right? We'd do this and it would take over. We've lost our controls. There's an option now in Keynote and in PowerPoint to select, when you say play in a window. So now when I come down here and say play, this is where I ended up, is it's actually playing on here in a window. And over there I can have another little one sitting to the side of me. There we go. Right. Well, it was coming in. So we got this little animation down here. So in the same way that a few minutes ago we did this framed thing of our Chrome window, we can now say, I want to share my Keynote and I want the presenter display. And it's gone. Where's it gone? It's there. Why is it not showing the presentation?
The other one.
You think it's the other one? Sorry. Thank you, Owen. Yeah, it is. It's the demo presentation that we're looking at. So I could actually now tidy this up, and in the same way that we did before, I can crop in around this. So two ways of going at this. You know, we can do this sort of framed thing, and here's the slideshow, and I'm either on screen or I'm not. What I could do is turn myself into this circle, and so I can bring this one up now, fill the screen with it, this presentation. And I'm sitting over here, and what's cool about this and why I'm keeping in this live demo mode is you can see over here that now I have got a full screen demonstration. This is bringing in all my you can see I don't do keynote presentations very often. I'm trying to play around with things, but how cool is that this is actually an animated keynote presentation. This is what you do. We said right at the start, everything I'm doing here, we're going to show you, this all goes over into Zoom. So this is why we're spending so much time here in Ecamm, is this is where you do the work, and then we're literally going to open up Zoom, connect it up, and everything on the screen here is going to magically appear over in Zoom. Is that good? If we wanted to and had got green screen set up, we could then change this around, and instead of me being in a circle, I could actually be cut out and sitting in front of this. But I reckon that's pretty cool. And this is definitely one of the bigger user cases that people have been asking for, is when we did this questionnaire earlier, you know, how can I do presentations into Zoom? We're going to connect the two things up in a bit, and you'll see how it works over there. What I would, one of the issues you're going to have is about desk space and what's going on the screen in front of you here, because now we've got a PowerPoint presentation open. In fact, we can kind of minimize this a bit and reshape it, and it doesn't really matter where this sits. We just need to realign it back over here so it's in the right proportions and it fits. But maybe I've got my presentation open. I've also got these little controls if I want to have this open to be able to slide through it. You wouldn't normally have like a comments window like this open because you're going to be in Zoom. So this bit here wouldn't be there. Honestly, for us, we've been using this Stream Deck to press all these buttons. I don't even really need to have my scenes, my overlays. I always would keep the sound levels on, but actually I can minimize a lot of these And notice that even this Ecamm window, I can minimize that up quite a bit. So potentially, it's trying to pick that up. Potentially I can shift all this over, and then we're going to have Zoom open in a few minutes. And yeah.
Before we close down Keynote, we've got a few people asking where your presenter notes will be and if you're still able to see them. So just quickly, your presenter notes, if you've got them, will show up on this window just in here. So you can still see them, and this is the window you're sharing up here, so you can see them and your audience can't.
And I think there's a few options out there with those, the layout of that little window you've got down there. You can change it around, and then on the left side you've got, you're choosing whether you want to be able to see. You don't necessarily need to have that open if you just want the next slide sitting there in front of you. Yeah. And did you find, I'm just thinking actually, Stream Deck, could you be moving through your slides with your Stream Deck?
Yep.
We haven't even thought of that one. But the Stream Deck isn't just for Ecamm.
Yeah, Stream Deck, I mean, there's a whole, just like how Ecamm have an integration with it, Keynote have their own.
Yeah.
So, yeah, and also there are some people saying, does that work with PowerPoint? They also have their own in Stream Deck, and you can do pretty much the exact same as what we're doing in Keynote in PowerPoint.
Yeah, so, and again, please guys, well, wow, the time is racing ahead from us already. Yeah, if you've got specific questions about these, do let us know about it, and we can, you know, we've got these 4 Zoom calls coming up tomorrow and Sunday. If you want us, you know, if enough people are saying this is something we'd really like to, can you go over that again, or can you show me how to do it, doing it this way? We can be totally flexible about. We've got no plans for those lives that are coming up, other than to really come back and be based on the questions and the comments and feedback that we've had from here. Owen, do you want to just say something about overlays, and maybe just bring us something simple in as maybe some like bullet points and that we could have. In fact, you've got a nice scene for it there. Do you want to use your scene and just build us out a few?
So before we do this, I'm going to bring us into demo mode, and I'm going to duplicate this. So let's just leave it.
Want to come down to that demo area? Drag it down to the.
Pardon?
Do you want to drag it down into that demo folder?
Yep. So there we go.
We're messing that one up then.
Yeah. And say if I wanted to sit over to here and I wanted to show some notes, we can come into our overlays tab, and we have 8 different types of overlays. Sorry, 7, and then folders. So this is an image overlay, a animated overlay, screen share overlay, text overlay, and then also a countdown overlay, a widget overlay, which we're not really going to go into.
No, definitely not.
And then a camera overlay, which you've already seen demonstrated. So if I added in a text overlay, which is this T, you can see this kind of has saved what we had it as last. But if I wanted to put in my notes, I can turn off the background. Over here you have, similar to what you had in your camera overlay, you've got your kind of corners that you can have on, and your margin and border. So you can really round these out if you want, or you can do and change how rounded the corners are, add a bigger margin, which is kind of the area around the text, and then also the border width. But for this, I'm just going to turn this off. And then you can see it's added it in here. And so I can come up into here, and I can pick this up and really make it as big as I want to. So I could have my notes, and then maybe I want this to come in a specific way. So I can...
It's probably off screen, is it?
If it lets me.
Yeah,
it's down here. I can come into this style, and this is really the animation of it, so I can have it as a fixed position. So when I hide it and then show it, it just kind of fades in and out. Or I can have it to fly in automatically, where it will kind of pick what's the nearest edge. Or for this, I'm going to do fly in from the left. And then when I save it, you'll see kind of what this is doing. When I hide it, it goes off to the left, and then bring it back in, it comes back in from the left.
So this is kind of like the stuff you would do in Keynote or PowerPoint, putting a presentation together, but we haven't left Ecamm.
Yeah.
Powerful. And just to point out fonts, because somebody's probably going to ask it, what fonts can we use?
You can have any font that is on your computer. So as soon as we tested this earlier because I'd made a scene on my computer and then brought it over, and as soon as you download a font and you put it in your font book, just where you add in your fonts for your computer, then it will automatically be brought in Ecamm.
Yeah. So you can go and, there are loads of fonts that you can get and build up if you decide you like a nice handwriting font or something you want to use. As long as you install it on your computer, it'll show up in that list. So a few quick, do you want to just show us how maybe we'd want to bring that down? Why don't you kind of do note 1, note 2, note 3, and just show us how that might animate and come in stages. Like you would maybe want to do if you were doing a presentation in PowerPoint and you just want to bring those in one at a time, but you don't want to have this presentation when, to be honest, what we've done there in PowerPoint, we could actually have done here in Ecamm, couldn't we?
Yeah. So, and like we could...
Is it worth copying them in and actually just doing that and letting them come in one at a time and slide in, just do a quick demo?
Yep. So if we come back into, this is where we added them, and let's close that folder so we can see it easier. So this is our notes one that we had. If I move this up and hide them, I can copy and paste this because I want it to have the same animation, so it's just easier to copy and paste it. And then I can double click on this or click over here, and now I can add in my first note. So maybe I want to kind of offset this a bit and put note 1, and I can come over into here. This is just how we've got our fonts. You can see as many fonts as you could really want. And then let's change this to a bit of a lighter font, and let's save this. And we can make it a bit smaller, and we can do a lot of this, and then we can copy and paste it again and hold shift to keep it in line, which means that now if I'm moving this way, because I'm going down, it's not going to go out of line with this, and I can add in my note 2 and save it. And now you can see these have all made their own little overlay over here. So I can actually come up to the top and hide these all. I'm going to change the order of them so they are in the order that I want. And I could have them come in as note 1. And then, so these are my notes. Maybe I can now start talking about note 1. And actually, if you hover your mouse over it before, so I can look down, see that note 2 is next. I can hover over this I, and then I can be talking and just click, and then note 2 will come in.
How would we do this with scenes to be bringing them in like that? So that's great. It can be a little bit hard to go down there and look in the overlays.
Yep.
What would we do? And sort of starting with that third one and cloning and backtracking, really.
Yep. So for this, we could make another little folder in here, which is really our presentation. So I'm going to need to bring this down kind of in stages so I can get all the way down here. So if I put this next to my copy of Owen's scene and put that in the folder, I can then from here see this. We've got 3 different things we want to come in, so I can copy and paste this. So I've got 3 different slides, and let's just hide this one in this first one. So I really just want this first bit to come up, and then in the second one I want this and note 1 to come in.
The top one you'd need to take the animation off the top notes, wouldn't you?
So
worth noting as well, locking down these individual.
Yep.
Because it's quite easy, isn't it, to move with your mouse and all of a sudden you've lost the size of it and it's pushed it around. So it is important to, so you can either lock the whole scene,
Yep.
so you can't adjust it and mess it up, or you can lock the individual overlays with these little padlock symbols.
Yeah, and you can see that when you hover over an overlay, that you can see this little padlock that comes up. So say for a countdown timer, we can see this one and it says lock overlay, so we can just click that lock and now that won't move as easily.
Yeah. So jump us in just nice and quickly then on that last
Yep.
one. So that one you'd need to lock down the first one, so that stayed in now.
Yep. And then, so I've just changed this. So I've changed this back to fixed position because I don't want this to every slide come back in. And now in this next one, I can do the same again on both of these and change that animation to be a fixed position so that it's only this last one coming in. And
so this would be how we would do it, wouldn't it? To kind of,
yeah.
And you could either have, you know, you can have this set to just go right, next scene, and that's would be a shortcut key, or it becomes very easy to just. There are two ways of working with scenes like this, really, aren't there? The way we're using it now very much is there's a scene with me, one with Owen, one with both of us, one with Wide, and we're just kind of cut in between them. But typically, if I were doing a presentation like we're demoing here, I would think of the order that I'm running through it, like I would a PowerPoint presentation. So I know that maybe in front of copy of Owen, as you can sort of see over there, I would have just me on camera, or like Owen's put it in its own folder. And we would just, it becomes very easy just to click the way down. So Owen, just run us through those. Let's just see that in action.
Yep, so if I come up to a scene that's very similar, so this is like how Adrian just said about having your scene of only me, and then I would really recommend when you're doing this to maybe call this folder presentation by double clicking on the name, and then also on each of these slides maybe call them slide 1, slide 2, slide 3, etc. And then in this scene we can come down into slide 1 either by clicking on it, or we can come up into scenes, and then you can see on here, so we can do command and then to our arrows to the left and right, and we can hold down that and we can go to the next scene. And so I can be holding these on my keyboard and looking at the camera and then say that I am going to bring on my next note, and I can do that kind of thing with that.
Fantastic. That's really cool, isn't it? So although we've showed you a way to bring in a PowerPoint presentation because you want that animation, if it's as simple as just having text and bullet points sliding on screen, you can just do it in Ecamm and you don't need to have that PowerPoint presentation open. Yeah, so hopefully that's helped. Yeah. Canva, yeah, you could be doing things on Canva, absolutely. Yeah. And yes, people are saying about a second camera and things. You could do that and feed that in so that you've got another camera working there, and that is a camera source coming in. Lots of different ways that we can do this. We were going to, and I'm conscious that we're getting behind. We were going to look at doing a countdown timer like that we've made here. Do you think maybe we come back to this to the end if we've got time?
Yeah, definitely.
Is it worth just quickly showing how we built the one that we've with countdown timers, just quickly touching? I think this could be, and it's again one of those things that, you know, you don't know you need it till you see it kind of thing. But I really like, we're going to have a little break in a few minutes time just to catch our breath and have a look at some of the questions and catch up a bit on that. What I think would be, all right, let's just show you this countdown timer. I think if you show us what we've got here as our 5-minute countdown timer.
Yep.
And so with these overlays, Owen just sort of showed you over, and you know, it's really hard. We take a whole week doing this in the Ecamm Academy, so even a 3-hour class trying to fit this into is really hard. As well as text overlays coming in like that, we can do countdown timers. So what options have we got with a countdown timer when we look down at the countdown timer overlays?
Yep. So
there we go.
Okay, great. if we come back over into our demo scenes, we have this one down here, which is the 321, which is our countdown overlays. So like a text overlay, when we bring this in, it will kind of bring up all of this. And then you can pick all your fonts again. A good note for this is that you have this folder that's a smart collection done by Apple, which is fixed width, which really, if you're trying to line this up to anything, is the best way to go, because it means that all these numbers have a specific size for them, and it means that it's not kind of jumping around on size when you're doing that. So we could select this one or this one, going for a bold one. We can change up here how long this is for by clicking on this and either typing in a new one, or we can use these arrows to go up and down.
Should just say this is exactly what we did at the start then, yeah?
Yes.
So those of you that were here early, this was how we made that. Sorry, yeah.
And now we can select this to go to the next scene when we've finished, which is what we did at the start to really bring us straight into this scene. So we can select that if we want to, and we can also
quickly make one on this then. So let's kind of scrub the overlays that we've got. Let's mock up a quick 1 minute countdown. We can play a bit of music, and this is what we did at the start. So maybe you change the notes bit, and we'll call it starting in. Yeah, this is like your countdown timer that you might want to do at the start of, certainly like on a live. You might want that minute or so just to let people find you. And there we go. So let's lose the notes one at the top. I'm being all bossy. No, this is great. I'm getting Owen to do it all for me.
Yep. So we could, this is just this scene. So the next scene will look different, but you can also click this back kind of arrow, which is going to restart the timer. You can also pause it and play it.
So what happens when it gets to 0?
Yep. So we've set this to go to the next scene. So if you watch over here as well, this is going to bring us straight into our next scene. So something also with these, they can be really good if you want to. So it's automatically going to select the text for this, or you can click up here, but we could bring this opacity pretty much all the way down so that when we come into a scene, this countdown timer is still here, but you can't see it. And then after that 10 seconds that it's sat there, it will change scenes for us. And this is really how we used to kind of automate scenes in that sense.
Yeah. So if maybe you wanted a little lower third to pop up at the, so we've had a countdown timer that played for 5 minutes or 1 minute, and then when that finished, it came into this scene, and at the bottom it comes up and it says Adrian Salisbury, but I don't want it there all the time, and I don't want to manually take it away. I can have a hidden timer for say 10 seconds, and then it goes to the next scene, which is exactly the same, but it doesn't have that little nameplate at the bottom, the little lower third. So that's absolutely how we use this, as a hidden timer as well as it being a countdown one.
Yeah.
I think it's worth pointing out that, so let's just jump back into where we were then. So we're making out this little what would be our intro timer.
Yep.
A big tip on this is while you're trying to edit this, it's counting down. So if you put it in there for a quick one, it's just going to keep jumping. So quickly try and catch it if it is hidden, and pause it so that you can edit it and work on it while it's doing that. Yep. Now we did, so let's just show Owen, we put a semi-transparent color over the front of this.
Yep. So we actually had an image for this. Let me find where we've got another one of it. Oh, yep. And then let's put this to the back, and you can now see we've got this semi-transparent kind of overlay. So we can put this in the middle. This is it's the fixed width ones, so it's monospaced, meaning that it's not going to change depending on what number's there because they've all got a fixed width around them.
You had a nice font, didn't you, that you were using?
Yep. That wasn't a fixed one, but for the timer coming in, we used one called Super Boom, if we can find it. There we are. And this is what we used. Let's put this to a little bit higher.
It's cool.
And so we can do this. We can really brand this up however we want and make this as big as we want.
And we haven't talked about music.
Yeah.
But this would be a good point to bring that one in without making a bigger deal about it. So music, we can get, you need to be really careful with music that you're using copyright-free music. Again, we've put a link. We were going to take you off and show you a bit more about how we do this. But Soundstripe is one of the main channels that we use. And we've actually put a playlist in there, the music that we were playing just in the intro and a few others. Again, on this replay page, we've put a list of all the resources and we've put a link straight across to that folder. That you do need a license, but you can download those songs or find a whole load of others. And then you can just, so we haven't even got the music, the sounds files overlay tab open, but let's just bring that up.
Yep, so if we come back, we can see this little kind of music one, which this will open up our sound effects, which...
So by default, there are a whole load of sound effects, which can be a lot of fun.
So these are your kind of your built-in ones, and then we wanted to add in some ones for us specifically that we can use throughout the stream. And then there's also music, which is the same.
So these are the songs that we've been off to Soundstripe, and we can bring them into here. So we're not linking up with Spotify or something, which another way you can do it, of having that window open and bringing that in, as long as, again, it's a copyright-free playlist. We would rather go and download those files, put the license in that you need to, and they're here now in front of us. Yep. So, Owen, let's go back to our demo scene, and let's just add a music file in there, because you can apply that music to this scene as well, can't you? Yep.
First of all, I'm going to pause this so it doesn't run away. And I'm going to double click on that to take off this fixed position, or to add the fixed position, sorry. And I'm going to do the same on this one. And now from our kind of music folder that we've added in, we can just pick any of these. So if I grab this, I can either drag it onto the scene and it will apply straight to the scene, or if I delete it from up there, or I can just hit to play. Or if it's in a playlist, we can select it.
Sorry, can I just jump in on Victoria's question there? Yep. Just saying about she's creating scenes that like what you were just saying, that you can set a hidden timer and they loop through, but she gets to the last one and it doesn't go back.
Yeah.
You can put them in a folder, Victoria. If you create them in a folder like this, it will keep looping around inside of that folder.
Yes, or what Victoria I think is meaning is with the new kind of timed folders of scenes, which is a automatic group.
Yeah.
Which you can do the same.
Sorry, carry on.
In here, in our music, we've got this little cog next to it, which we can add a hotkey for it if we want to be able to press
a shortcut
on it. Yeah. We can also add it to the scene, which is like how I dragged it on. And then we've also got this, which is to repeat and to really like go on to the next song after it's finished this first one.
So you can have a playlist of songs in there and it would run forever.
Yeah.
Just again, be careful with music. A bit like I was saying earlier about getting your sound levels right. Make sure that you're using that display down there and making sure that your sound levels aren't coming in too loud. Certainly if you're speaking and you think you've got this nice subtle music in the background, but it's too loud, you really want to pull that down so it's just faintly in the background. Again, like we said earlier, record it, play it back. Does it sound okay? Would you happily listen to it with that music in the background? Now, in our case, in this demo that Owen's just building out, we want this to be like an intro, or we're going to do one so it's going to be a 5-minute one where we can just have a break. What's an important thing that we need to do for that?
Mute yourself.
Yeah. So this sound levels tab that you can see down here, we can adjust this by scene.
Yeah.
So as Owen's building this one out, if you jump back into that demo quickly.
I believe it's this one. Yep.
Then, so when we're doing this, how's this going to work in demo? It'll be, is that going to mute us if we're in demo mode?
Yes.
Right. So very quickly, have we
Yep.
got music playing in here?
We've not yet. So if we grab our folder and add it to the scene, this is now, you can see the sound effects going because this is where we've added this. And then we can hit mute on our microphone so you can't hear us talking. And for reference, he just said, now you can't hear us talking.
Okay, so brilliant. I think you're going to see this in action in a minute.
Yeah.
I think that could be a really cool thing for your Zoom meetings, to be able to just have a chance to pause. You don't have to, we've kind of, Anna and Fulgen's inspired us with a lot of these things, and that kind of wash over it while there's a timer going. We like how they use this and kind of went, yeah, let's have a go at playing one similar to that. But it could be an image that's up with that text on, with music playing. But I think you could have it there as a scene that at any point you can go, right, I want to click onto that scene and I just feel like I need 5 minutes, or you go and answer this question, or do a poll or something in Zoom, and you go, right, while you're just doing that, I'm just going to play some music.
Yeah.
It's just good to have there. And again, people will go, how did you do that? I can't see that option in Zoom. And you're going, didn't do it in Zoom. Love it.
Yeah.
So good stuff. Where are we at? We're totally off track, to be honest, but we're hopefully people are enjoying this and it's going down well. So screen sharing, I think we've covered.
Yep.
You can share your entire screen. You can, if there is a rare occasion where you do want to share your whole screen, one of the great things with Ecamm is you can turn off, like mine at the minute, I've got a load of icons sitting down the side there. I can turn those off. Let's just bring the preferences up a minute. And when we've got screen sharing on, it says, do you want to include your desktop icons? So if you don't want them when you're doing your screen share, it'll get rid of them. So those of you, Rachel, that have really messy desktops with files and stuff all over them, you don't have to worry about tidying them away. You just untick that box and no one's going to see them when you're doing your screen share. Yep. And then the desktop picture, we've actually put a plain blue image on the back of ours, but maybe you've got a photo of your kids on there or something and you think, actually, that's not that professional. Again, you can just untick that and people will see a black background to your desktop. So, yeah. Are we doing all right?
Yeah.
Good stuff. So there's just a couple of things with screen sharing, but again, wow. Yeah. We're nearly 2 hours in.
Yeah.
That's all right, because the Zoom bit's actually easy. The hard work's been done over here. So screen sharing we've done, presentations, but actually, do you need to be using PowerPoint, Keynote? Can you do it in Ecamm? It's way easier to build it all out like this in advance in here. Playing videos, if you need to play a video, that's something else. Maybe you've got like a testimonial video or something you want to share. You can drop that into here and play it away, do exactly the same thing, making sure those sound levels are set right. Mute yourself. By default, actually, Ecamm will mute you when you're playing a video because it's assuming you don't want to be heard. And again, I hope you're seeing the power of this here, that we can build this out inside of Ecamm, and we're just going to we're basically sharing the screen across to Zoom. And the Zoom bit becomes really easy because actually we're doing all the hard work over here. We're building everything out and people will be blown away because they're going, how on earth are you doing that in Zoom? And really you're not. You're doing it Ecamm, which nobody's heard of. Well, they have, but maybe your audience haven't heard of Ecamm, and yeah, they're going to be coming off of your Zoom calls going, wow, I've never been on a presentation like that. Okay. Music we've talked about then. Very quickly, we are almost at the end of the Ecamm bit and about to jump onto Zoom. Preparing this for Zoom. How do you now get this prepared and ready to send over to Zoom? All I was going to put up on here was really, if we just come into this live demo mode, output. If you haven't turned this on already, you want to turn on this virtual cam. So first of all, you'll need to install it, and it will just go to your, it'll say, you got to give permission because you're telling it you're going to share your screen, and so it's like a privacy thing. So you'll need to just quickly install it and then turn it on. And then this is a brand new feature that's in beta. So if you're not on the beta program, this will be coming out early March, I believe, if not before. This will be ticking into the full version of it. But the virtual mic, what we were saying earlier, these sound effects, the music that we're playing, all of this, you gotta have the virtual mic installed and turned on to be able to do this. Should just point out beta, you can, that was a terrible accent, really.
Yeah.
People are like, what's he on about beta? You can actually download the beta version. I don't know if Paul or somebody could just pop that in a link to that. It's totally free. We're running this in the beta version. It's very stable. It's not flaky at all. And that will allow you to have these features that aren't available in the full program before they come. So they're really the two things. This is how we're going to take this out from Ecamm into Zoom. So as we're about to transition across to Zoom, I just needed to make sure that you got those two things in.
And before we move on from this, it's probably worth adding that these are both pro features. So the virtual camera and microphone are pro, and so you won't be able to get them on the standard version. I don't think that's going to change anytime soon.
No.
And also, when you are using them, there we go. You should see this virtual. This is the virtual camera, and this is the virtual microphone, telling you that these are active and they're doing their job.
And the next one is.
And then this is the mic delay that we've got on.
Yeah. So all of those things are there. It's all turned on. We're kind of ready to now go over to Zoom. Should just say actually about Ecamm Pro license. I'll be talking to you on Sunday evening about our Ecamm Live Academy. We get nothing but praise about this academy. We run a 2-week training event that really goes deep on everything that we're doing here. Gives you a whole load of online training videos and lives every day. A lot of you have actually been through that. That's how you know about us. And just to point out that if you were wanting to come through that, the Pro plan, Ecamm actually will give every customer that comes into our Ecamm Live Academy will get a 25% discount off an annual Pro plan. So I'm going to be talking to you about that on Sunday. And if you want to come and join us in the Ecamm Live Academy, know that if you're now thinking, I could do with upgrading to this, it's the equivalent of $96 is that 25% of an annual Pro plan that you can get discounted. So just keep that in mind. Don't go buying Pro just yet. If you're thinking of coming and joining us in the Ecamm Academy, you can get a nice discount on that one. I just want to throw that one in while I think about it.
Yeah.
Right.
And quickly, we've got some people here, Dan, Oscar, and the Buzz on Education. Yes, this is the virtual microphone is replacing what you have been using loopback for. So this isn't a case of for example, when interview mode came out and we were kind of like, oh, well, if you're not on the Pro, you can still kind of use Skype with it. Yeah. You won't be able to because audio monitoring of how you used Ecamm, how you used loopback is also a Pro feature.
Right. Yeah. Okay. Yes, you're right, actually. Yeah. So you would be on Pro already to be using loopback.
Yeah.
There are a few instances where loopback is still useful, and we've got that in the last section. Whether we're going to get to that today, I don't know.
Yeah.
Do you guys want to take a break? Do you want us just to have 5 minutes? Let you go and grab a coffee or run if you want to. Why don't we put our little 5-minute timer on? We'll have a quick look at these questions and things, and then we'll transfer all that we've done here into Zoom. It won't take us too long at all, actually, and then we'll look at some of these advanced features.
Yeah.
Okay, so press your button, Owen. Let's show you what we've made already, and this is our little 5-minute timer.
Yep.
Whoa,
Hey.
there we go. That was a bit of a sudden.
Yeah.
Well done. Thank you. Just give us a chance to breathe. And very quickly, there's a few, and I just took one off of here. Someone just said right at the start, we'll just have a few minutes. We were going to do a 15-minute Q&A. And again, actually, you can show the little timer that we got. All nice little transitions that we're going to be making in here, that we've made in here rather. But we were planning on a 15-minute Q&A. I feel we need to move through, and we'll do some. So actually, let's show what we're doing, because I think it's good. We're all learning. So Owen's just changed this down to a 5-minute.
Yeah. Great.
There we go. Right. Because the questions we can catch up on afterwards, and we can come back. So let's just quickly show you. So there's some questions. Someone just said right at the start about Blue Yeti having there's a lag with it. Well, that's exactly what we were just doing with that mic delay. So all of those things is fantastic for fixing any of that. How do you verify? Somebody else asked that as well, that it's actually taken those settings.
I believe someone came back to Rich saying that you'll get an email. But there's also a preference that you can check this in that we'll show later.
Yeah. Okay. How do we get the Ecamm music to sound transfer into the Zoom meeting? That's what that virtual mic will do. The virtual mic will basically take any audio that you've been putting together here and send it over to Zoom. It's fantastic. You wait. Where can you get semi-transparent images? Well, we actually did that in Snapper.
Yep.
You can, Anna and Fulgens do a really good little hack on this of where you saw us making a text. So like the little Q&A thing at the top, that's a text box up there. You can actually make a text box and make the text transparent, but put a coloured background. So you've basically made a little coloured box that you can then drag out, and you can do it that way. And in there, you can absolutely adjust the transparency of it.
Yeah. But we changed this over to be images. Actually, I believe, this orange background is a text one. But our other one's an image, because we thought we can add in a very low resolution picture, because, I mean, that was a 144 pixels, so I think that's the lowest one that YouTube allows.
And just stretches up because there's not going to be any...
Yeah, because there's no detail on it. Yeah. And we found that just lets your computer handle it a little bit easier, because it's such a small thing, rather than having a text that it's trying to keep this... it's trying to keep the quality as good as possible, even though we can't see the text.
Yeah.
And it just seemed a bit easier to do it that way.
So Canva or Snapper we use, create an image that is whatever size really in that resolution. It doesn't need to be like 1080 or anything. You can have that down, as Owen said, sort of a tenth of that size. And before you save it out, take the transparency down, save it out as a PNG as transparent, and it will then bring it in already semi-transparent. Okay. We are going to Facebook, aren't we? Did we not do Facebook? No, sorry, we chose not Facebook.
Yeah, we didn't want to be in too many places that were kind of being like, oh, go here or here or here kind of thing. It just made it a bit easier.
Yeah. So there's a lot of people asking. I think let's move on. People asking about the Zoom chat. Bringing the Zoom chat in. I love this, actually. This is a great little feature that we can do.
Yep.
Actually, sorry. We've got a minute and 35.
We've got a minute and 35 left, yeah.
Yes, and this stuff is all... This will be an instant replay afterwards, so you can absolutely come back through. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, and I haven't used Canva for this, but I know people do, and absolutely. Any thoughts on using Canva? You can do exactly the same thing, and where I shared my... run of show there on a Chrome window, that could be Canva there, and you can crop into it, and absolutely in the same way that we've done. Gary said, how many capture cards can you use, or should you be using a switcher like an AAARGH mini? We actually had an AAARGH sat here, didn't we?
Yep.
We were like, okay, 3 cameras, we're going to use the AAARGH and jump between them, and it will just, between us we can reach over and do it. Why did we change our minds?
Well, we wanted to be able to have a view like this. The thing with having an ATEM come in is that whatever that's putting out is what you're seeing, so we can't have two cameras separate on here.
Yeah.
And yeah, we would have had to constantly be on the main kind of top camera rather than being able to both be separate on here.
Yeah. So, and we've got one. We've used it. There have been times when we've needed to use it, but that's if you use a switcher and plug multiple cameras into it, just know that Ecamm can only see the switcher. So you like what we've done, as Owen said, I don't want to repeat him, but we can do this and we can mix and match with the images because Ecamm is looking at all of those individual cameras rather than just one input feed coming through. So well, Pro, really what we're doing here and sending all of this over to Zoom, is going to need a Pro license. But as I say, it's a cracking deal that Ecamm offer, whereby you can come and join us in the Ecamm Academy, and you'll get 25% off of a year's license. It's great value anyway, honestly, when you think what you can do with this. When you're recording, it says, Harry, do you use Zoom or Ecamm? Let me get to this afterwards. I think when we've done Zoom, that's kind of further down in my notes, and it is something we want to talk about.
And just a note on the whether it is a Pro feature or not. Paul has
Q&A.
Pardon?
I was going to knock the Q&A off. That's on your stream.
Paul has just said, if you're on the basic Ecamm plan, actually let's grab this and pull it up. If you're on the basic Ecamm plan and want to try out the virtual microphone on the beta, or when it's released, you can send an email to marketing@ecamm.com and they will give you a 7-day free trial.
Fantastic.
To use the virtual mic.
Yeah, thank you very much, Paul. That's great to know. So do. And so we can do what we're doing this weekend. Even if you're not on Pro, you can upgrade and have a go with that.
Yeah.
What's that? Pretty sure you can build transparent slides in Canva. Absolutely you can. Yeah. So I reckon let's jump. It's about time we open Zoom up.
Yeah.
We're going to get all these complaints from people saying we didn't even use Zoom. Now, what am I going to put down here? We'll go into our demo mode. Let's share the screen. I'm just trying to make a bit of space, really. Now, if I were to pull, to be honest, this one could I'll leave it like that. All right, let's open up Zoom. Now, I'm guessing all of you, you're using Zoom already. You're gonna kind of know the basics of this, right? So we are going to go into the settings and we can go further into it, but let's just kind of assume for now that we're going to click on here and go into our meeting, and of course we need to come out of live demo. I hadn't even thought of that, live demo mode.
It's not going to work, but
we can change the screen, surely.
If we let's just change our camera quickly.
Yes, good shout. Right.
Or we'll crash Zoom.
Yeah. Oh, that's not good.
I think we need live demo mode just to see this.
If that's even working.
Yeah. Right, so currently Zoom has crashed.
Right, we're going to restart. Yes, I think we better end this meeting. Let's just see if it will open again. So what Owen was just doing here, in fact, maybe if we choose the camera first, let's choose a camera that's not doing this.
I think this needs to be, maybe straight from the ZV-1.
It's not happy, is it?
No.
Wow. Quick.
The joys of live.
Let's do some Q&A. Right, come on. Positive. Right, there we go. That's more like it.
Oh, okay.
So the problem with that looping was because our feed into Zoom was the virtual cam, it was just doing that kind of tunneling of picture inside a picture. So, right. So this is kind of the bit where I'm slightly thinking how far do we go? Where do we go with this really in terms of Zoom? And a lot of I don't want to go over a lot of the basics that you know as well as we do. Let's kind of work through. I do want to show you the kind of navigation along here and let you see what we're doing. So in terms of the Ecamm bit, and of course, keep in mind that over the next 2 days, you are going to see us in Zoom. This is the only thing we're doing live like this, and then the rest of it we're going to be doing live in Zoom. So what we're going to do is I'm coming down here. Help if I press the right key. And where you select your microphone, in fact, I've gone and zoomed in too much. So you get this option on here to, right, I'm pulling this down because my list is too long. So select a microphone, and normally you're going to choose one of these up here, but this is the one you want to select.
Yep. Ecamm
Live Virtual Mic. All right, so we've already got this ticked, and that's all you need to do. So now everything that has been playing, this, as I say, this is a beta feature right now. It's just coincidental how the timing's been, but this has really made our lives easy, because otherwise we'd be showing you how to set this up in Loop Deck. Loop back. I always get them two wrong. So yeah, you can try that beta. You can try all of these features, even if you're on the basic one, as Paul mentioned, for 7 days. Yeah. So this is your microphone. You can select your speakers to be whatever you want.
And should we show in the preferences why we're using Ecamm's virtual mic and not just straight from our cam link?
Huh?
Should we show?
Yes. I'm sorry, I'm not with you.
Should we show why? Because we've kind of said you want to be using the Ecamm Live's virtual mic, but we haven't really explained why.
Okay.
As opposed to just coming in straight with your camera. Unless you, I don't know. Do you agree?
I'm not with you.
So why we're using Ecamm Live virtual mic rather than currently for both of our audios, this USB audio is going to bring them in.
Okay.
And so the reason why this doesn't really work is that now if we come over and play, say, a sound effect,
that's amazing,
then you guys could hear it, but you could see on here that it didn't show because it wasn't playing. Whereas what we used to use loopback for, and now the Ecamm Live virtual mic, if we do the same again, or if we do a different one,
pizza,
you can see that now that brought that in this time.
Thank you. I'm with you now. Yes. So actually to visually demonstrate what's going on. Good man. Right. So if we come back to this one, so that's the audio side of it. Yep. And then the camera, this is where we're going to struggle because it's going to loop. Normally we would say Ecamm Live Virtual Cam. And when I click on Ecamm Live Virtual Cam, it's going to show that picture from up there. But as you just saw, it tunneled. I think that's what caused it to crash. Okay.
So I spotted somebody said, what is the solution for this? So normally if you're using, unless you're sharing
the tunneling.
Yeah.
Right.
Unless you're sharing the Zoom window. So like currently we're in live demo mode. And so what you're seeing on the live stream and what's coming through the virtual camera is heavily this Zoom window. But if
it's just showing this window, which is showing this window, which is showing this window, so it creates that tunnel. And
unfortunately, there's not really a way we can show you Zoom not tunneling with the virtual camera because, quite frankly, it's gonna whatever we're showing you is gonna be what shows in Ecamm whenever we select the virtual camera. So there's not really a way we can show it, but so long as you're not screen sharing the Zoom window, then that won't be an issue for you.
Yeah, we're in an unusual situation because we're demoing how to use this, you wouldn't be doing this. And you will find when we come on live tomorrow, you're going to be the other side of it because you'll be in that Zoom window. And so everything that we're doing, it'll look the same as this, but we're going to be doing it over there in Zoom. And yeah, it'll all kind of come together. But yeah, thanks, Owen. It's good to see that. And again, that audio delay. So things like that, if I'd have just selected my microphone and then my camera, there's potentially, well, there is, I know there is, like a 2-frame delay in it. And if maybe I don't spot it on the live, on the actual Zoom call, but maybe I spot it in that recorded file afterwards and it bugs me. Honestly, we've been looking at this microphone, this setup for a few months now, and I haven't wanted to shift across from the Rode mic that I was using before because I was conscious that I was getting this lag, this audio delay. But now with this virtual mic, every support call I do, I'm on these settings. I come down here and I select virtual cam and I select virtual mic. You do need to have Ecamm open, but it can be minimized. Yeah. So let's just quickly, Yep.
Crystal Clear Science is quickly asking, what time's the live tomorrow, and where do I find the link? Sorry. So
you are in luck because in 10 minutes time, we've already sent you or scheduled an email to come to you that will show you. Yes, please. You do need to be registered. Get registered if you're not in the next 9 minutes, because you're about to get sent then an email which will list out all the times. We've put an ad event link in there as well, which very cleverly will stick it in your own calendar, and all the links are in there, and the replay and all the resources that we're talking about now are all going to be on that page. So that'll come out in 9 minutes with the magic of Kajabi.
Yeah.
Right, let's quickly have a walk over this Zoom. I feel like we've while in a sense I'm thinking I want to talk about the Ecamm bits of the magic, and actually you probably know Zoom as well as we do in that sense. But let's just quickly whiz across. So we've just showed you there then microphones, speakers, things like that. Your audio, your video, making sure you're on Ecamm Virtual Cam. We've explained why ours isn't at the minute. Interestingly, just when you're on your Zoom call, these security things, how you can allow participants to share their screen, chat and things, you can turn these all on and off in the settings. I tend to click on this participants over here, and as you can see, this is detached. So normally by default, merge in main window, it's going to be sitting up here on the front. I pull that off. I just find I like it on the pop-up, so it's over here, and I can put that to the side. And as people are coming in, and I can see that people are waiting to come into it, it's much easier and quicker for me to access this. I can mute people, I can do all those settings and things over here. Personally, I like it as a separate tab. Exactly the same thing with the chat, actually. So I've got this detached. Let me just backtrack if you haven't done this. Merge it. So yours might pop up like this in the main window. You can come up to the top, pop out, and now this is over here. In fact, Owen, I wonder if do you want to just quickly dial in from your phone into our Zoom call, and let's just show what can happen in here. Well, I guess we can kind of do it from here anyway with the chat. A few of you asked about bringing the chat into Ecamm, and this is how we do this. So while Owen's just having a go at that, I'm going to come back down here. So we're back into Ecamm now. I'm going to make a little demo scene over here. And right, so you can see on my screen here, Owen's just in the waiting room. We're going to let him come in. And you would just make sure your sound's right down. So that's Owen's phone, just so we got somebody else in our meet. So do you want to just write a couple of messages for us into the chat there while I'm building out over here? And I'll just zoom back in up here. So you're kind of getting now, doesn't really matter. Let's just do a new scene from scratch. And what I'm going to do is select blank as my background. And like you saw me do earlier, I'm going to bring a camera in as an overlay. And we're going to say custom so that I can change the shape of this around. And this is the cool bit. Let me just get rid of those bits around there. I'm now going to come back to my overlays tab, and I'm going to select a screen share overlay. Comes in like this, and then let's say we want it to be a custom shape, and we don't want to share the entire screen. We want zoom, and look, it gives me now options of what in Zoom do I want to share, and we just want the chat window. Now, there are a few ways that we could do this. I can either do this and bring this in, and thank you, Owen, for giving us some chat to look at. And if I want to, I can hit the Option key, and I can actually come in at the edges and crop this out. So I don't want to see that bit at the top. We just want to see the actual chat itself. And how cool is that? Now we are displaying our Zoom chat, and you can kind of play with this and crop it and decide whether you want to be on screen. How cool is that? So now we are bringing in the Zoom chat. Let me just quickly come out of live demo so you can see it full size there. I can play around with this, and there is my live chat coming through from Zoom. Okay, now yeah, it's all getting a bit trippy in a way. That's in Ecamm, and I know it's not down there in my Zoom window at the moment, but that's because I haven't selected in Zoom my Ecamm virtual window. As soon as I do, that there with the chat will go over into Zoom. And obviously I wouldn't be in this view. We'll talk about that in a second. We're not going to be down here in a gallery view. We need a few more people to fill that out anyway, I suppose. The other way, let me just quickly come back up to here, because this chat, how else could we do the chat? Another way that I think could be quite cool is if we were to either come like this, and so I'm full screen sitting at the back there, and maybe this time I decide I don't want the chat. We don't want this border around it. We just want to see the chat window itself. And there's actually this green screen feature that allows me to kind of put this over the front, and notice how it's made it transparent behind it now. So I could now be talking over here, and as you've seen us doing from scene to scene, I start off on one scene, and then I kind of go, oh, okay, let's just go over and see some of the chat that's going on. And yeah, oh, great. That's a really good point there, Owen. And yeah, so this is how you're bringing this in. And everything is happening in Ecamm, going across the virtual cam and going to end up in Zoom. And we'll be playing with all of this stuff when we actually get into Zoom tomorrow. Okay. Yeah, what's this? If you're on a regular plan, can you use the 14-day trial? Yes. 14, was it 7? To have a look at it. I'll let Paul answer that one. Thank you, Paul. Doing a grand job over there. So let's just come back to, let's pull Zoom up again. So I've got this, here's my kind of window. We've got a chats going on over here as and when I want to. Can I just say a really big warning? Oh, hello, Owen. Let's pick the right other camera. A really big warning. If you're going to do this, sharing your screen with your chat on it, please note that you're seeing everybody's chat. You're seeing the public chat that's going on in Zoom, and you're also seeing the hidden private chat. So if somebody decides they're going to send you a message going, I can't believe that Paul, he just said this, is going to pop up in here. So you either need to make sure to say to people, don't send me any private messages because it's about to pop up in here. And obviously, like all of it, yeah, so Owen's just showing us there a direct message that actually, when I come back, where we go, let's pull this down. So what would be coming through over here, as you can see, it's picking everything up. So that's my big warning. Just make sure if, maybe that's not going to happen on your call anyway, but I'd hate you to get into trouble on that one. Participants chat, screen share. To be honest, in theory, you're not needing to use the screen share over here because you're going to do all of it inside of this. Polls and quizzes. Is this in the basic plan? I don't know if it's a new feature or whether it's one because we've just upgraded, but this is pretty cool. You can create polls and quizzes. We're going to have a go at this tomorrow. So this is not an Ecamm feature, but again, this is a great way for you to level up, take your Zoom meetings to the next level. When we're doing this Q&A and we're doing these calls tomorrow, we could just put a little poll or a survey up and say, which do you prefer, or would you like us to spend more time on this? I think that could be really cool in there. Recording does bring me on to this question of where do we record? And you've really got three options. You could record in, let me back out of this a minute. This is a bit messy for me talking to you. Let's shut that off. You've got a few options. You can either be recording in Ecamm, you could record to Zoom on the cloud, in the cloud, or you can record to Zoom locally. Our experience is, I'm going to bring you on as well, Owen. Better quality to record in Ecamm.
Yeah.
100%. If you want the best quality then of this presentation, record it in Ecamm. And actually, well, yeah, no, it won't. What I was going to say is Ecamm always gives you a recording. So when we finish this live now, Ecamm will automatically give us a recording. That won't happen because you're not actually going live. So you're going to need to record only. You can just hit record only and then send this across to Zoom and away you go. But if your goal of this, it really depends what you want your output to be. If this is a replay to people and you want them to be able to see themselves or see this meeting that went on, then you need to record that in Zoom. And I would record locally in Zoom, better quality again than it is if you record into the cloud. But maybe it's your priority is more that you want that cloud recording that you can easily share out to people and you can just send them a link to it. So can you see there's different ways and different reasons why you might kind of cut between the three. If I were just showing up, doing really a presentation, and that's what I want to be able to take the recording of and give that to somebody afterwards or create it into a course afterwards, then that's the way I would go with it, and I would record it in Ecamm before I started. All right, so hopefully a few things there about the recording. Let me just come back down. Let's do our live demo again. I'm conscious we need to keep jumping across. Live transcript. This is a feature that's in our enterprise package that I don't think is in other ones, that we can actually do this transcripts as we go. Breakout rooms. Some of you, again, way better at, I understand them, but I've never actually had a reason to do them. But we've only got one person here, so it's only going to let us do one room. But you can have multiple rooms available, and it will actually, if you want to auto assign, it will work out how many people per room. You can assign them manually if you want to and put people in the rooms. Again, a great way. It's a very unique tool, isn't it, to be able to do that and encourage people into different rooms. We were talking about it, actually, the idea of doing this, that we could say, okay, if you want to ask a tech question, come over here into this room and Owen can run that. It just wouldn't work in this. You'd have to be in a different room, else the microphones will be picking each other up and things. Reactions quickly, when you're wanting to raise your hand in a call or you're encouraging people to do that kind of thing. This is again what we'll be doing tomorrow. Apps we haven't really looked at. I did say to Owen that we've never done this, but I can see a use for this, that actually you could be in your Zoom call, and then you could go live from here out to YouTube. And I think an opportunity here to say, okay, I've got a membership or like a VIP group, and you get to come on the Zoom call with me, and everybody else can watch it out there on the live stream. So I think, yeah, there's lots of ways you can go with this, and I think that could be really cool. So how far do we go with Zoom, really? I think this is kind of my point. Our idea really of coming across to Zoom is very much more, we've done all the work. All the work's happened over there in Ecamm, and as you're seeing, and as I'm saying on here, really, we're literally just going, turn on virtual cam, turn on virtual mic, and everything now is going to go over there into that Zoom call. In terms of how this sits, I think if we just punch that live demo up again, what does this look like really? You've got a lot of moving parts on here, so you can kind of minimize things down. What I tend to do as well is, because we've got our camera sitting directly above the computer here, I like to have things so my comments are right in the center, right underneath the camera, so my eye doesn't have to move far to be doing this. I see others that are looking over here to look at the feed and then having to come back to the camera. Then that becomes quite hard work. So I would try and lay this around. What do you need open? You wouldn't need to have the comments open, because that's not going to be a thing when you're on your Zoom call. So you could have Ecamm there, your Zoom window up over here. If you're doing a presentation, that's down here. We would have the notes up as well, so I've got my kind of Chrome. I can have this sort of notes and bullet points. You got to jig it around a bit, but and you might struggle if you're on a 13-15 inch monitor trying to fit everything in. I get that, but I would definitely, and I mentioned before, potentially these scenes, the overlays, things like that, you can turn off if you've used a Stream Deck and set things like this up. Oh, and I can't believe the time.
Yeah.
We actually need to be coming off in like 20 minutes.
Yeah.
I think let's whiz through from that. What I do want to just say about Zoom, as I say, we're going to be running through this now and showing you how to do these things. Definitely with Zoom, somebody mentioned it right at the start, about turning up and sounds don't work and things don't happen.
Yeah.
In exactly the same as we said in Ecamm, do a record only. I can jump in here in, this is a Zoom call that is live, but there's nobody there. Well, Owen's in there. I can actually hit record and say record on this computer. Now I can go through and I'm back in Ecamm now, and I'm jumping between my scenes and I'm playing my music clips. I'm trying a few sound effects, and then I just stop that recording. And when I end that live, it'll just save that out for me. It will convert me across very quickly because it only ran a second there. And there it is. There's my video, and say record on this computer. Now I can go through, I'm back in Ecamm now, and I'm jumping between my scenes and I'm playing my music clips. Okay, so you can see how easy that is to practice. And that is my biggest tip and bit of advice that I can give you, is don't go suddenly making all these things up and then going over to Zoom, doing this big meeting, and then coming back and telling us how everything went wrong. Find it out beforehand. That's exactly what we want to be doing over these. That's the point of these Zoom calls over the next 2 days, is for you to have a go at this. So if you want to go away and have a practice through with some of this stuff now, and build out some scenes, find some music, bring that in. I really encourage you to have a try at this. Find some sound effects. We've put links to all of these things over on that page. Have we got a link to that page? Did you find the replay page?
No, we don't have a link to that in here.
I thought you built one into the Stream Deck. Sorry, go on, you take it. What I think would be... I would stay on longer, but unfortunately, and I don't know a way around this, we're on Ecamm's YouTube channel as well. And Doc Rock needs to get on to do his weekly Ecamm show. There's no way that we can stop it on one channel and keep going elsewhere, is there, in Restream? I fear that we're going to lose the whole thing.
Yeah, we potentially could, but I think it might be a bit messy. So it's probably easier to just stop it.
Okay.
We do have a few questions of Zazumi said people asking how this works in apps other than Zoom. So say, for example, Zazu's asking about Discord, or there's been some about MS Teams. Wherever you're really... Wherever you're going and where you would normally show up with your camera, if you just Google does Discord does Discord allow a virtual camera, and if it does, then you can plug, as we've done into Zoom, you can plug that into MS Teams, which if you're going into MS Teams, you will want to watch our video on how to plug it into MS Teams, because there's like some code thing that doesn't work sometimes. And yeah, so you just need to...
But all of these, all the web-based ones, your Chrome browser, you need to go into your Chrome and just, if that camera isn't available, set it up. But yeah, anything that will accept a virtual camera will do this. Okay. Alumni, yes, alumni. I'll tell you on Sunday about it, but alumni absolutely will get a discount to come back through again. Yes, come on, Gary. Yes, you can have a play and a practice. Now I've got my iPad here. I was going to show you how to use the teleprompter and set all this up. We'll spread this across the Zoom calls.
Yep. So all the pro tips that we were going to bring up, we can do in the Zoom calls. So
we're doing hour-long Zoom calls. So the first one is at 9 a.m. in the UK tomorrow. If you miss it, and that's not going to work for those of you in the States, but we wanted to put some in Katie as well, so we quite often get feedback from people saying it doesn't work for our Australia Asia time zone. So that's why we're doing an early one on both mornings, and then we'll do another one at 5 p.m, which will be 9 a.m. Pacific or 12 p.m. Eastern on both Saturday and Sunday. And I guess we just start them off by picking off a couple of these. We'll show you how to set up the Stream Deck. We'll show you how to set up the iPad. I think you've got enough to go with, to be honest, to get yourself started. Get going with Ecamm. And as I say, we've got a replay page. In fact, where is that? Let me just pull up Chrome a second.
And while you're doing that,
sorry, am I?
Roger Fairhead asked about the copyright-free music. We use soundstripe.com, so adriansalisbury.com/soundstripe will be our affiliate link, which means that we get a commission for sending you there, but it doesn't change the price for you. So we'd really appreciate if you went through that. But that's where we get all the music that we use, that we've used in this live and things like that. And then I'm just looking to see if there are other questions.
Zoom in weekend. This is why I should have links ready. But right, there we go. Do you want just quickly... we can do a quick screenshot. There we go. We're not ready for it, but it's locked, isn't it? I was just trying to show you on here my Google Chrome, and this is then what I'm trying to do. This is the link that we've just sent you. So this live now will be available to see straight away. We've put some resources, so that's our gear guide, the teleprompter that you haven't seen, loopback software, and Splash, Soundstripe, sound effects, Prompt Plus. A lot of this you haven't seen yet, but you will. And then this is where all of those Zoom sessions are going to go in as well. And then our final one as well. So that's one to look out for. That email came out to you 15 minutes ago. So you can head over to there. But please, I hope you've... sorry we've kind of ended up rushing at the end here. But we will definitely cover all of these points over the Zoom calls. And so whether you're able to make them or not, you'll be able to go back to those videos and we'll maybe just write some details as to what was covered in each of those Zoom calls so you can go and find them. How are we doing? We're going to go right to the end.
Yeah. Sandy has said, am I the only one who doesn't have a clue what a Stream Deck is?
This is a Stream Deck, and it's right, that's my alarm going off telling me that we need to be wrapping up in a few minutes.
I mean, we'll go into what that is on one of the Zoom calls. It's a programmable set of buttons. To put it in the easiest way of explaining it quickly.
All the different actions, and it's way more than Ecamm. And as Owen pointed out earlier, it can. If you were doing a PowerPoint presentation, all of these different bits of software are integrated into this Stream Deck so that actually you could say, so Ecamm has got its own set of functions that if you bought a Stream Deck and downloaded the software, it'll say, do you want to be able to change your scene or turn the volume or do different things? And then you can click those and you assign them to different buttons. It's a great little tool.
Yeah.
But you don't need it by any means. You can do it, and we've done this for years without having them, and you just need to be quicker on your mouse and kind of clicking between things over there.
But if you want to give it a try, there is, I believe it's £8 is that phone app. So if you go in your app store and search up Stream Deck, then it should be the one that's made by Elgato.
But don't go rushing off and looking at that. We'll talk about it. Owen's going to show you what to do. There are some really cool multi-action keys and things that you can do as well. So you could say, like when we've had those different colors and things coming on, he can do a multi-action key that says, bring in this overlay, then bring in this overlay, then wait for 2 seconds, and then take this one out, and then take this one out. This stuff here. So there's 1, 2, 3. There's a lot of things going on there. So it's more than just making a scene come on and go off. We can. There's loads.
Yeah.
we can turn all these lights off with it. Things like that. When we kind of finished the live, we could press a button that went end the live, turn off the lights, turn off the cameras even on smart plugs. Yeah.
Yep.
This is amazing. Right. Doc Rock's going to be shouting at me over there on the Ecamm channel. And I hope you've really enjoyed that. Please, is it worth the questions link? Or we'll just go back down this and kind of pull out key questions. Do try and get on the lives if possible, and do go away, practice, put into practice what you've learnt here. We'd absolutely love to see what you've come up with. And like in our academies, this is kind of a safe place. If you want to try and put in some sound effects and do this, and then come on a live and let us know in the comments, hey, I've got some things I've been working on. Can I demo it? Yeah. We'll bring you on screen. We'll spotlight you. And way better for us to be saying, oh, that's a little bit quiet. Why don't you try it? There you go. We'll deal with that. We'll have a little practice through.
Yep. And if there's anything that you saw on the sales page that we've missed, then the registration page, then come into the Zoom calls and we'll go over it in there.
Totally.
We've just not had enough time to go over everything we wanted to today.
I cannot believe that's been 3 hours.
And you thought we'd do it in 2.
I honestly said to Owen at the start, what if we don't fill it?
Yeah.
What a joke. Of course, those of you that know me know I can talk. So, well, there we go. What a great problem. Better be that way around. And there's my link that I was looking for.
Oh, I mean, we even had a sound effect for slow down.
Do it again without you talking.
Slow down.
You got to go on in the last couple of minutes. Go on. What other sound effects did you find?
I mean, that was mainly
What
they
was the
were.
one that we liked?
what are we going for now?
Pizza.
We're not, but
We're not, but
yeah.
We knew you'd feel it. Yeah, Dina, I know. Terrible, isn't it? There's not enough time to go into any one thing, really, is there?
Which is exactly why people should join us for the Academy.
I'm not getting this. Yes. We'll talk to you about that. Yeah, our Ecamm Live Academy is a lovely little queue down there. Someone's just plugging it.
Yeah.
We've had 1,500 people come through at least once. A lot of those have come through more than once. And we're only running it twice a year now. And it starts on the 28th of Feb. But we are going to open the doors early to let people in. And so you're going to hear it first on Sunday night. Just a little taster telling you what it is. But you can see, we're just scratching the surface of what can be done in Ecamm. And as much as the training and the information that we give, I think what is unique and special about it is just creating within a Facebook group this safe space for you to practice going live, realize it's muted, realize something else has gone wrong. These things typically only happen once because you don't let them happen again. But we just love these little communities that we create. And we'd love it if some of you guys wanted to come over and learn more about this, because ultimately, you don't have to go streaming out to Facebook or YouTube or LinkedIn or anywhere else. If you want to use this and you can come and learn and to how to absolutely master Ecamm so that you can use your Zoom meetings, then it would be an amazing couple of weeks that you'd spend with us. But okay, right, I think we go. And thank you so much. Really, really appreciate it. I can't believe that we've had so many people staying on for this long.
Yeah.
Amazing. And we will see you tomorrow. It's going to be an early start. Owen's not really an early riser. I'm not either, really. But
yeah.
So if it ends up being just me here tomorrow, no, you're going to get up, aren't you?
Yeah.
Come on. Yeah. We will see you 9 a.m. tomorrow morning, and then again at 5 p.m. But
we'll see you in 13 hours.
Go do the work. See you tomorrow.